in the morning. You got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening. Wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again. Argue about everything. You are my darling. This kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day. I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay. We just gotta boom, bada boom, ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right. Baby, let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
Now you see, I don't want no trouble now. I hope you.
Pain. I've been there, locked up inside my head, broken from fear, illusions, disappointment, and hopelessness. Who heard me in my silence, where being a man means nothing? Despair. I've been there too, desperately seeking answers for the questions associated with manhood, hills and valleys, too bleak to compare. Stress, suffering in a utility silo, no comfort, no security, no freedom, no justice, just do it for others. Challenges, who will help me break the challenges? Lost in the vortex of darkness, hopelessness, fear, and abandonment. I've been there too. I've been there too. Take the next step to your destiny. Join me in this fight. Walk forward. Deep breaths. Head held high, men. Come join me, men, in the winds of time. Stories, hopes, visions, purified in the fire. I'm not a superhero, and I'm not the Reverend Knight. I'm here to help you. Join me, men, in this fight. Break the chains of your mind. Let's do it now. For now is all we have. Fire. The kosher clinician.
Well, it's mellow madness, because you will ask yourself the question, what were they thinking about, the angry man, when they did what they did? And then you got to ask the men, what are they thinking about, the angry man, when they allow the behaviors of some of these modern women?
Y'all, I'm tired. I no longer want to be an independent woman. Forget that INDE. I'm good. I want to be a housewife. Listen, the next man that has good credit, a stable home, finances is straight, baby, I'm marrying you. Yes, sir, I am. I'm not an alpha female no more. I've learned my lesson. Baby, I will be submissive to you. Baby, I will cook for you. I will clean for you. Yes, daddy, whatever you need. You want sex when you want it? Yes, sir, you got it. Baby, you want a meal at 3 o'clock in the morning? Yes, sir, you got it. Take care of me. Because this working 2 jobs, although I love being a registered nurse, I love my profession. Let me just work as needed. Let me work when I want to work. I'm over it. I'm tired, y'all. So hook of your luck. I'm looking for a husband. I'm ready to be a housewife.
Man, oh man, guys, I apologize for the night, man. I had a rough time today, man. I've been extremely busy with these allergies and cutting grass and just sneezing all over everywhere. And I apologize to Red Lipstick's Vibes and also TJ. The intention was to start the show at 8, then it went to 8:30. But because I am the kosher clinician, everything must be fit and proper. But we're gonna have a good one on tonight. I promise you, it's gonna be another good one, guys. We're gonna cook a turkey during the summertime. We're gonna cook summer turkey. And that's what many believe. They believe that black men should save the community. But the question is she ready to be a soldier? Because see, in my mind, a woman can't be ready for the duty or the office of marriage unless she has the mindset of a soldier. We're going to have two women from two various backgrounds. One was raised to be a wife and trained to be a wife, and one grew to be a wife. And we're going to see the dichotomy between Red Lipstick Vibe, a sister that I had an awesome conversation with in private. I was thoroughly impressed, good sister, her and I got a similar background, and I respect her highly. And also a woman that was a soldier in the past in the military, and a woman that have evolved. So guys, without further ado, we got two content creators, and we're going to hear from a woman's perspective, Red Lipstick Vibe and TJ Randolph. And we're going to see the dichotomy between the two and what it looks like for women if they want to get married, what they need to do, and how they need to prepare themselves, guys, for the office of marriage. So without any further ado, she's straight from she's straight from New Orleans. She got that northern swag with a little Creole. She said Merlin. She don't say Maryland. She said Merlin. That's what they say up top. So what's going on, sis? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Kosher?
I'm doing great, man. With that Smurfette voice of yours.
Got it rolling. We probably got it rolling.
Yeah, I finally got it rolling, sis. But I want to ask you a question. When we talk about women and relationships and the importance of duty, what does duty mean to you? Because I'm convinced, Red Lipstick Vibe, that if a woman want to have the office of marriage, she must have the mindset of a soldier. You saw it a couple of months ago when Jada Pinkett did not more or less operate in the mindset of a soldier, and she caused her husband to be in a state of shame. According to the gospel, Red Lipstick Vibes, you know what I'm talking about, and TJ, you know as well. The gospel says that a wise woman builds her house, but a foolish woman tears it down. So I want to get some insight because this is a topic that can help some women that are striving to get married. You are a woman that was raised to be a wife. TJ is a woman that grew to be a wife. She made bad choices as a young woman, but she had to uncover so that she can recover. So tell the audience about who you are, your channel, and why are you so passionate about giving young women clarity in a time when many are so ignorant.
Ooh, I always hate that part. I'm so shy you introducing myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to mess on that. I got you on the camera. Go ahead, sweetie.
You got me on the big screen. Oh my God.
I got you on the big screen.
I'm the host of Red Lipstick Vibes. My name is Miss Ty. Everybody calls me Miss Ty. Where should I start? So I started my channel during the time I was taking care of my mom. It was sort of like an outlet for me. She was in hospice care and I was sort of like a caretaker. And I wanted to be able to give what my mom gave to me and give it to other women because I saw the state of the way the women are today. We call them the modern woman. And I saw that it was such a disconnect between the men and the women and what men want versus what the women want or are willing to provide and want to get the same outcomes. And it was such a big controversy over the word submission. I've never seen nothing like this in my life until I got on YouTube to see so many women just hate the word submission and what it really means to be a wife. And since I've been taught how to be a wife, I thought it was necessary for coming from a young person to teach other young ladies that it is not something that's called slavery. Right. Being a wife is not slavery. Being submissive is not slavery. And I don't even like to say duty
Right.
My mom told me that it was a ministry. It's a ministry to be a wife. You're a minister.
Okay.
And you're minister
Okay.
to your husband.
I like that too, but I think they actually parallel. And I'm gonna tell you why. There's a verse in the gospel that talks about being a soldier. It'll make sense, but you're right. It is a ministry. It is a ministry, but we all called to be soldiers as we minister to the lost. Do you see my point? So it's a ministry, but yet it's still a duty because you beat yourself to the ground for the greater cause. TJ, you've been through a lot of different things in your life, and you've grown and you have evolved as a woman. What was the greatest indictment against yourself from the past as it relates to the office of marriage? And how have you evolved as a woman?
Would you mind breaking down that a little bit more? When you said indictment to myself, exactly what are we meaning?
So indictment to yourself, meaning you deceived yourself into thinking one way, but in the end, it ended up holding you captive to what you thought was right, but in reality was really wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Well, one of the things, again, and it goes to even how I marketed myself to my husband when I did my profile. Okay, first of all, I'm TJ Randolph. I have a channel, Mosaic with TJ Randolph. And not unlike Miss T, I started my channel a little over a year ago as actually a form of therapy for myself as I traversed various things that were going on personally, but also I took it as an opportunity to, share with women the things that I had done well as well as the things I didn't do well in the areas of love and relationships, parenting, career and all those kinds of things. So it is kind of evolved. So in answer to your question, I think one of the biggest things is having the idea of what I thought men wanted and marketing those things to the extent of smart, goal oriented, all these kinds of things that were important to me as a woman, thinking those things were important to a man. Also, to the extent of I've always been a leader of sorts. And what I mean by that, even as a child, I was always, planning and doing things. Well, I thought that would be looked at as an asset, but I ultimately found that if you don't know how to wield that influence, because leadership, even in any form, is about influence.
Right.
If you don't know how to wield that influence, it's not sexy, it's not attractive. So I had to recalibrate. And I wish that I could say that I came to that epiphany on my own. I did not. It was, it culminated in a relationship that ended violently. And I definitely contributed to that. It did not result, does not absolve the person from putting hands on me, but I contributed to that relationship that ultimately shouldn't have been in the first place.
So when you talk about you contributed to it, many modern women are very masculine. They like the je ne sais quoi, or they like the femininity that's necessary to captivate the heart of men. Many men are perplexed because, many men think many women are chameleons. They more or less act like they're women of virtue, but in essence, they're just trying to get a man off the man tree. And the thing I love and respect about your openness is that, you are striving to uncover so that you can recover. And it sounds like to me, you being in the military, is it fair to say you operated in masculine energy many times?
Oh, most definitely. And I will tell you, at 55, I'm not going to say I've mastered it, but I have definitely honed in on, I'll put it to you like this. I'm able to, and more often than not, I'm able to see when I'm operating in the wrong energy to bring it back. Whereas before, I was just like a bull in a china shop, straight up.
So it sounds like to me you were chaotic.
Yes. And I thought it was not that. I thought it was being a leader. And in some instances, in some situations, that is okay. Because again, in my profession at the time, women were, lauded, promoted for such things. but not, that doesn't translate into relationships. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I think a lot of women have been deceived for the most part. And, men are becoming very aware of shenanigans. Red Lipstick Vibe, we had a good conversation in private. And, something called soft girl era. But before we get into that, I believe that marriage is a ministry, like Red Lipstick Vibe said. I agree with that. But I also believe it's a duty. Because, many people want the trappings of marriage. They want the bells and the whistles, and they want to stand before the pastor. They want to look special on that day. But I'm convinced, because I grew up in faith, and faith says that the woman was made for the man. She was made to serve him. And so just like a believer is made to serve God, there's a scripture, Red Lipstick Vibe, that says this: "Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No man that warreth entangle himself with the affairs of this world, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier." And so just like, believers are commissioned to be soldiers to operate in the army of Christ, a woman has been commissioned to more or less reflect the image of her husband, just like that man has been commissioned to reflect the image of God. But see, when you show people the evidence, Red Lipstick Vibe and TJ, they get mad. They want the benefits of having a husband. They want that man to be a bullet bag, but they don't want to serve that man in the beauty of righteousness. And see, what men are beginning to do now, TJ, because like TD Jake said, he said this, he got a need that he can pour into. And we're going to talk about it in a minute.
You can buy your own house, but until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop coming home bragging to me about how much you don't need me. And
but I'm convinced, ladies and gentlemen, that men can't pour into the modern woman, because the modern woman has been infected with liberal dogma, liberal ideologies, and she's not willing to look at herself. Sadly, some come to a conniption based on hardship, based on pain, based on suffering. And that's when they learn. But sadly, some have come at the end of the road. And many will never have the beauty to have a man over them to cover them, because, see, men are beginning to wake up. Red Lipstick Vibe, when I read that quote and read that scripture, you grew up in church, you grew up in faith, you were raised to be a wife. What resonated in your head when you heard that beautiful scripture about a man being a soldier, and how women have more or less caused their own chaos because they've been liberally indoctrinated?
Well, the one thing that comes to me is the fact that now women they don't value leadership anymore, because they want to be the leader. It's no longer about being equal in, like, how it was in the feminist movement, being equal to men. Now it's about dominance. They want to dominate.
Right.
So they can't follow that soldier, that captain, that chief, that leader, because in their mindset, it's like, I want to be the leader. I want to be in control. It's all about control now. They want
it's about control, right?
That control, yeah.
Right. No, I totally agree. And guys, in the meantime, get the likes up. But have not donated to the channel. If you have not donated, donate to the channel. And go feed the robot, because the robot got bills to pay. But in the meantime, TJ, what's your take on what I just said about, that beautiful scripture about no man that is more or less enlisted in the army of faith entangle himself with the affairs of this world, but he strives to be a good soldier of Christ? How would you say that as it relates to women in relationships, to say the least?
Well, interestingly enough, for me to have been a soldier in the physical army of the United States Army, having been led by many men, did not get the full correlation of how that should work in a relationship. And when I think about the idea of being a military veteran or military soldier, Army soldier, it is about selfless service. So you're giving of yourself for the purposes of someone else, putting their needs above your own.
Right.
So for me, I will say that it definitely, how can I put it? the man is definitely the soldier, and God has placed him in leadership. And as a woman, I did not appreciate or value the opportunity to be under that leadership the same way that I was under the leadership when I would have my uniform on.
Right. That's
So
interesting.
I did not value that or
Right.
appreciate or understand it.
Yeah, that's interesting how women can serve their husbands, serve their bosses, but they can't serve their husbands. And I'm convinced it takes a level of discipline in order to be a wife, meaning you have to have mastery over your feelings in order to more or less minister into your husband. As Red Lipstick Vibe said, you know, she gave me some good game in our private conversation. And she is the mantle of what I remember women being of the past. She's an exemplar of what I remember women being in the past. You know, Red Lipstick, when you heard the word duty, what does duty mean to Red Lipstick Vibe? And then TJ, you being in the military, I want you to more or less expound upon that as well.
Sorry, I was on mute. When I hear the word duty, I think of it being a task, an assignment. And we know that, you know, God gave us our assignment, a woman's assignment to be the helpmeet of the husband. Mm-hmm. So when I hear the word duty, that's why I associate it with it. It's my assignment, it's my task of what I'm supposed to do for my family and for my husband. Right. I incorporate it with ministry because it sort of correlates together. And being, you know, growing up in the church, that's where we associate a lot of our duties and our assignments, because we are assigned to ministry. We are assigned to be a minister, to be an usher, to be, you know, whatever in the church. Mm-hmm. So that's why I associate being a wife as, you know, being in ministry.
Right, no doubt. When you hear that, Ms. Randolph, how does that resonate inside your head about the importance of duty?
Again, the importance of duty is selfless service. I mean, it just is. It is a responsibility, is a charge to bear, placing the needs of others before yourself. Again, when I think about, again, my role as a military officer, one of the things, and even some of the veterans who might be in the chat, as a leader, you would put, you know, even if it's something that's going to the chow line, you made sure that others ate before you. Right. So that goes the same with your husband. You make sure that he eats before you. But right. I did not get that revelation in earlier years because, again, I've said it once, I'll say it again. You know, God rest his soul. Kevin would attest to the fact that when we would have conversations in college about submission, mm-hmm. I would be all down their throat. What in the hell are you talking about? Who do you think I am? Right. So that is for sure.
Right. You know, Keisha Brown said that him before me, it takes discipline. And see, I'm very fervent about this conversation, Red Lipstick and also Ms. Randolph, because I'm convinced that the greatest detriment to many modern women is a myriad of things, but one of the things is the lack of discipline and understanding the ministry of marriage. It's a duty as a Red Lipstick Vibe, a ministry, she said, but also it's part of duty because you are enlisted to be, or more or less to have his last name. But see, you know, they say they want the office of being a wife, you know, not understanding that when you become a wife, it's no longer you, but it's about him and you together. And it's about reflecting his mission as a man. And see, I'm convinced, or more or less perplexed, Officer Randolph, because, you know, like you said, women that were enlisted in the Army, they saw regiment, they saw structure, they saw hierarchy, they can't fall under the hierarchy of their husband. And see, I have a problem with that because I'm convinced that some of these women are default Christian feminists. You know, they say they believe in the Lord. You know, they say they got the spirit. They got a spirit, but I don't think it's gospel. I don't think it's gospel. I don't think it's God's spirit, but they say they got the spirit. But you know, but the gospel clearly says talks about the canopy of order. You got the Father, you got the Son, you got Christ over man, and man over woman and children. But see, many modern women want egalitarian relationships, you know. They want to tell the man, you know, we're going to both make laws together. And I need people to hear what I'm saying. If a woman got certain talents that her husband doesn't have, that man might say, baby, I'm gonna let you handle that because I've commissioned you to do it because you're better at it than me. So, that's no robbery as it relates to that man. But see, when it comes down to her saying, well, I'm gonna make decisions today and you're gonna make it tomorrow, and then you got chaos because you got two heads in a family, which is causing confusion. What's your take on that, Red Lipstick? And then Ms. Randolph.
I like what Keisha Brown said, because it does take discipline. And one thing the modern woman have a problem with is because they're selfish. And like TG was saying, the duty is a selfless act of being of service. You can't be of service if you're a selfish person. And that's one of the problems that a lot of these young ladies have. They're not thinking of anybody else. They're thinking of themselves, and what that person has to bring to them is conditional. So I think that's what a lot of the disconnect is coming from, because it's no longer duty or service to the person. It's, I'm going to do this because you're going to give me something. It's a selfish mindset that's hindering the connection between the husband and wife now, in my opinion.
Right. What's your take on that, Ms. Randolph, based on what I more or less explored?
I was writing notes, so forgive me if I kind of missed some stuff.
Okay, that's fine, no problem.
I think one of the things, and if I'm wrong, if I'm going off on another direction, please reel me back in. Right. I think one of the things, far as modern women, I can say for myself at that time, it was the reason why I was able to justify, if you will, taking orders from and following the lead of my commanding officers, is because I said to myself, well, that's my job. I'm getting paid to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's how I justified that. But when you think about it in the sense of being the duty of a wife, you're getting paid also. You're mm-hmm. getting paid in different ways. Right. You're getting paid in the covering, the protection, the guidance, the true investment in you, to save you, sometimes protect you from yourself. Right. So those are the things that I did not look at in that way. And a large part of it, particularly for myself, is that I was a control freak. Mm. And it's interesting because, Ms. T said modern women are selfish. Well, I'll say that's true, but you couldn't convince me that I was selfish, because in my mind, I was always giving to others, but I was giving to others on my terms because I was not willing to be vulnerable enough to be disappointed. And what I mean by that, anything is a risk. But because of unresolved trauma that I've talked about before, I was not willing to let go of the control. And that is really what it amounts to.
That's interesting. Your formative years definitely shape how you see the world. Some of it's just rebellion and, being around women that cause chaos themselves, because I'm convinced, Red Lipstick and Ms. Randolph, that many times women keep themselves single and because they don't do self-introspection. And the lack of self-introspection is going to be cause many but to be singing that song by Patti LaBelle, On My Own. They're going to be by themselves drinking wine, being miserable in a big house with a Mercedes Benz. And they don't understand that doesn't make them happy, because, see, on your deathbed, your degrees won't matter. Your status won't matter. The money you got in your bank account, it won't matter. The only thing that's going to matter on your deathbed is your family. And hopefully you'll be exiting on the other side to see your creator. But many don't get it. They've been do wanderlust as it relates to power. And a lot of it is power, and they wanted to control men. But see, what they don't understand is this. Masculine men don't play that. A masculine man will check you. A masculine man will tell you, if you're going to be my woman, you're going to do it on my own terms. If you want to be my woman, then you don't have to be my woman, but you're going to do it on my own terms, because he has commissioned me to guide you, to love you, to die for you, and to lead you. Because Genesis said it was a war between the man and the woman, but it said also that he will rule over her. And see, some women get triggered when they hear that because, it's, I don't know man ruling over me, but that's what the gospel says. You got to rule over you because of original sin. But when you think about the idea of a soldier, Red Lipstick vibe, what does that mean to you? Because you were raised to be a wife. TJ had to grow into it. And we're going to talk about the struggles that you two ladies still have, because this is a learning point for younger women, also men that are listening and more or less come into relationship demanding power, because I believe that men should demand power if they're doing the work, if they've done the work to get the best outcome. So based on that, what does it mean to be a soldier, red lipstick vibe, in your opinion? And then,
what it means to be a soldier?
What does it mean to be a soldier to you?
In what instance? Oh, I guess. Well, to me, being a soldier is one who takes orders and implement what he's supposed to do. Whether it's I don't want to speak like with war or anything, but the soldier has a purpose, and him doing and make sure that he stay on task and do his purpose. It can be very, I would say, stressful, tedious, but his mindset is he has a very strong will and mindset to be a soldier. Very disciplined. You have to. Now, I do know that fact because my dad was in the military as well. So you have to be very, very disciplined to be a soldier and to have that mindset. In order to, and then a soldier has to be able to take orders as well, because they're under a leadership as well.
Well, my sentiment is that she should be a soldier for him, meaning.
You're talking about the woman. That's why I was asking, like, who's the soldier?
Yeah. The woman is the soldier. Because she got to have the mindset of a soldier. G.I. Jane, she was a soldier. She was disciplined. She was ready for the commission. She had learned more or less how to control her feelings for the greater mission of that relationship. So when you think about a woman being a soldier, what does that mean to you? And in the meantime, guys, get the likes up. The robot is hungry. Donate to the channel, guys, if you have not already donated. But in the meantime, guys, get them likes up and donate to the channel. Hold tight. All right, guys, so if y'all got direct questions, I'll pause and answer the questions, but make sure you donate if you want me to ask direct questions with Red Lipstick Vibe and TJ. But why should a woman be a soldier, Red Lipstick, as it relates to the office of marriage, in your opinion?
Now, when it comes to a woman, it's similar stance of what I said. Now, when it comes, a woman has to be disciplined in order to be that soldier for her husband and her family.
Right.
She is protecting him. She's protecting her children, protecting the household as well. We see the men as the protection, but when the man is out doing what he needs to be doing, she is the second person in charge. So it's like, he's the captain and she's the, what's next after that? Lieutenant. She also has to be disciplined. She also has to be selfless. She also has to know the mission of the husband as well. You can't be a soldier if you don't know the mission. And you have to be able to be under that mission and understand and implement what that husband wants you to do.
Yes, right.
You can't go AWOL, when you're in this army, your marriage or relationship. So you have to have those things in order to become, to strengthen your marriage, making sure that your husband is cared for, making sure that you implement all the things that he said. And I like when you said when there are things that he don't know how to do or you can do better, he will give you that charge to do it. And so therefore you should be able to implement what he asks you to do. Right. And that also takes, skill and knowledge. So, that's why I hate to hear when the ladies say, he doesn't value my education or what I do. I'm just going to be here cooking and cleaning. No, because a lot of times, your education and the skills and things that you have will also benefit the mission of your husband. And that's what submission is about, being under the mission of your husband.
Yeah, I totally agree. What's your take on why should a woman be a soldier, Ms. Randolph, when she comes into a relationship? Why does she need to have the mindset of a soldier? Because, see, I'm convinced that many modern women are very immature and they're not disciplined. Kevin Samuels, before he passed away, he talked about duty. But Why are you convinced that a woman needs to have the mindset of a soldier?
Well, as I think about a lot of things, and I'm sorry for who said tread lightly on G.I. Jane. I'm sorry, that's one of my favorite movies because I was on active duty at that time, and that inspired me to get my game up. But anyway, when I think about being a soldier, it made me think about even under tactical operations, even when we're simulating, you have to know the commander's intent. So when we think about the commander's intent, like Red Lipstick said, that is the vision of the man. Mm-hmm. So be able to carry out the commander's intent, you have to take on their vision and execute the orders underneath the vision, because even if he's away, the mission must continue. So if you understand the commander's intent, you are going to operate as if he would operate.
Right.
And that is one of the things, again, I've come to appreciate and value, is because even when Mr. Randolph is not home, if he's on the road, I know what my commander's intent is and what he expects to be done and how he expects business to be handled. I mean, even as I shared with you, I went to go visit my mom. Even though I was going to visit my mom, I made sure my husband got home. Even though I was going to be gone, he was. The house was looking good, smelling good. I had a little gift for him on his bed because, again, I know the commander's intent. He wants his home to be his sanctuary, and I always keep that in mind. So I think when you think about being a soldier, it's always thinking about what your husband, the commander, the general, whatsoever you want to call it, keep that in mind, and you operate in that vein. That's the way I think about it.
That's an excellent point, but I want to pose a question with Red Lipstick and also you. Are modern women immature, in your opinion, and not disciplined?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
There's no way of getting around it. Yeah.
Okay. Explain, Red Lipstick.
I mean, it's evident of the way they think, the way they act. I mean, we can just turn on the TV or YouTube or whatever. You see them doing very childish things. I remember I was watching another podcaster, and he said something that was very, very true. Like, we have children raising children. They have like a childlike mind, and even in their conversations are very childish. The temper tantrum that they throw when being told something that is good for them, just like how children do. So I really do think that a lot of the modern women do have a childish mind.
What's your take on that, Ms. Randolph?
I second that emotion. And then one of the things, as a matter of fact, me and my mom was literally just talking about it earlier today, that many women, they don't value family. And when I think, if you value family, that means somebody else is ahead of you. And it's all about very superficial, surface things, the outward appearance of success, the outward appearance of fulfillment, as opposed to, as a matter of fact, me and my mom were talking, and we talked about how families of old were able to raise full families in these houses that were less than 1,000 square feet. And he talked about there was no surplus of anything. You had your church shoes, your school shoes, your play shoes. So it wasn't a whole bunch of gathering things. Whereas that we have replaced family with things and stuff and glitter and not relationships. So that is what I think.
Right. No, I totally agree. Shout out to my man, MC Recovering Wellness, for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, MC Recovering Wellness, for that $5 super sticker, brother. I appreciate it. You always show up. I really appreciate it. There's an evolution of masculinity, Red Lipstick vibe, because many modern women don't have the mindset of a soldier. There's a percentage of men that are using their passports. And, I advocate for men to get the best outcomes that are possible. What's your take on men traveling abroad using passports? And then also, Ms. Randolph, what's your take on it as well? You'll take those away.
You about to get me in trouble.
Well, we keep it real.
I talked about it on my panel the other night.
We keep it real. Yeah.
Look,
If anybody bothers, I'll come back. I'll take care of it. I got you. Go ahead.
Look, I say, do you? Because okay, I look at it like this. As a woman, if I was a man, I wouldn't want none of these ladies out here myself. If I was you know what I mean? So
right. I agree. I agree. I mean, yeah.
And it looks like, and it seems as if, women that I associate with, with myself and TJ and a lot of the ladies on my panel, we're like we're like a needle in a haystack. And compared to the men that are looking for wives, it's going to be very hard for them. The pickings are few. Look, the pickings are slim out here.
Yeah, very slim.
As far as the men that are looking for wives. So I see nothing wrong with it. I say, a lot of people raise a stinker about it because, what about the Black community? You're supposed to grow the Black community. But I'm looking at it like, okay, what are these men supposed to do? Are they supposed to wait years and years and years and years and years till maybe they stumble upon the right woman? Or just go where they are celebrated and not hated? Because, listening to the men out here, and I have, brothers, I have cousins and things, and they all saying the same thing. They're not being celebrated as Black men. So I say go where you are celebrated and find, find what you need.
Well, they just lame. They ain't got no game. That's why they can't get women. They lame. They ain't got no game. That's why they got to go overseas. I'm being facetious. I'm being facetious about it.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. What's your take on men exercising their options? Because as a licensed therapist, needs drive behaviors, Miss Randolph, and you being the officer in the military, you travel abroad, you understand world culture. What's your take on it?
Well, I say get love where you find it. And I truly mean that. I mean, ideally, I would like and love if there were more opportunities for Black men and women to get together. But it appears that there aren't. It appears that it is a foregone conclusion in most cases. Now, I will say, I think some of the things that, in as much as it saddens me, I think one of the reasons it doesn't sadden me as much, thank God, is because my daughter has found her husband right here in the good old U.S. of A. And she recognized a good young man and was not, silly and ignorant like her mama in the early years. But I say get love where you find it. Now, the only thing I say, the caveat is that I say, with respect to men who are traveling abroad, the same introspection that is required for women to get their mind right, to be wise, I think is just as important to men to ensure that they know themselves as well.
Because I agree with that.
Because one thing we do, we take ourselves everywhere we go. So
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So that's, and I'm not going to go off and say don't have any game. I'm not even going to go down that road. All I'm going to say is whatever a man or woman decides to do, make sure that you know yourself and your self-worth, because you take you wherever you go. And if you are bringing your best self and you're still getting poor outcomes even abroad, then we want to think about that. But I definitely have no problem with it. You go like Miss T said, go where you celebrate it, not tolerate it.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I agree with that. Teddy Pendergrass said you can't hide from yourself. And one of the things that I do is striving to help men understand the thinking errors that they have. I want men to get the best. I want men to be with women that are honorable, respectful, not fake women, not women that are trying to more or less be chameleons, just to get a man and then they pull the mask off. Because men are just like Smeagol off Lord of the Rings. They're so, I love you, baby, and all that. Boo, I love you. And I believe in marriage and love. But, once they get that ring... Once they get that ring, red lipstick, you're going to need an exorcist to get them demons out of them. Here's this. a schema affliction. Once they get that ring, they start changing and morphing because they were never genuine. They were never real. They never did the work, but they faked the funk to get a husband. And when that man start having expectations, then it's a problem. You guys are from Gen X. TJ, you're a little older Gen X. Red Lipstick is a younger Gen X. I'm a little in the middle. I'm 51. Red Lipstick is she's a tweener Gen X. But a lot of young women don't trust or respect the older generation of women because they feel like they lack the clarity, they lack the leadership, they lack the self-introspection to help the younger generation. Starting with you, Red Lipstick, what's your take on that? And guys, in the meantime, get the likes up and share the content. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, a lot of times they don't want to hear what you have to say. And sometimes it doesn't even matter what generation you're from. Not just with the young, the modern woman, the modern guys too. They're just very stubborn and rebellious. They want to do things their way. Nobody can tell them anything. So it's hard sometimes to get through to them because they know it all already, or, oh, that's so old fashioned. It's a new day. It's a new season. You got to do it this way. But they don't understand, what you're doing right now is not working for you. Right. So why not try what we did? Because it worked back then. It's just, but I think it goes back to the mindset of a lot of these young people is they're just not open to hearing from the older generation anymore. I don't know if it's because they feel like the older generation failed them, because I hear that a lot, so they don't want to listen to them anymore. Or is it that they just, think that it's a, new way of thinking, new way of doing things, and, you guys just don't know what you're talking about. So it's kind of hard to get through to a lot of them. But when you finally can find the very few that actually sit down and listen and actually want change, that's always a bonus. But for the most part, it's very, very hard for the older generation to get through to them because they have this disdain to say, well, you guys failed us, so why should we listen to you?
Have the younger generation, the older generation failed the younger generation, Ms. Randolph, because many feel like the older generation can't tell them anything because they're not a reflection of what they try to project. What's your take on that?
Well, I will tell you that is always a sore spot with me. that is always a sore spot with me because there's the presumption that the older generation, whether it be our generation or my mother's generation, knew that they were failing. That is the problem that I have. And I will submit, again, I've been hanging with my mom, and my grandfather was a traditionalist, born I think they call it the silent era. Right. Even listening to my mom recount stories of the things that my grandfather tried to tell her and her friends, they thought the same thing. Oh, Daddy, it's not that way. It's old fashioned. But to hear her now, being the age that my grandfather was, trying to tell her those things, she said, wow, right. Dad was so wise. So I think one of the differences, we can hear the complaints now on a global scale, whereas that you only were confined to those in your immediate area to hear the grumblings of what people were and were not doing. So I think I'm not saying that it excuses anything, but I'm just going to say people did the best they knew to do, and that may not have been good enough, But I've said before, even going back to recounting Kevin Samuels, they talk about, okay, well, he was divorced, this and then that and the other. My position is you can learn just as much from someone's failures as you can from their successes. And again, going back to being a soldier, there was good and bad examples in my military career. So what it taught me, one of two things: I want to be just like that officer over there, or I don't want to be like that officer over there. Period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess what some of the younger generations are saying is that when you look at the generation of some of the older women, they're really no different. You're right about ignorance being a caveat to what we call in the clinical world a generation gap. But some of these older women are no different. They dress provocative, they act goofy, they act immature. They act just like the women they're trying to correct. What's your take on that? Because you and I are definitely from Gen X. But what's your take on that when they say they don't see any difference in the older generation of women versus what they're trying to more or less convey to them is a younger generation?
Okay, well then there you got me, because you're absolutely right. I can't argue that point. Point because again, I will say when I consider, even my own mother as a grandmother, she never, ever, ever you would not be able to think that she was my sister. And my mother's only 17 years older than me. So right. I definitely agree with that. That is, and again, I'm a grandmother. So I would agree with that. How can you tell the young women to not dress so provocatively when you're doing that? Right. Titties and ass out. So I have no argument with that whatsoever. Whatsoever.
Right. Shout out to the young lioness. That's my girl Chantel Simone. Shout out to her. But guys, in the meantime, y'all get them likes to share this content. Listen, guys, there's some young ladies that need to hear this. You got two women. One was raised to be a traditional woman. One evolved into a traditional woman. It's a powerful show because, see, women and men need to hear what these women more or less lacked in their earlier stages and what they need to demand in relationships. So do me a favor by sharing the content. Get the likes up. We did cross over 5,000. I appreciate everybody that's contributed to me with that as well. But get these likes up, guys, and share the content and donate to the channel if you like what I'm doing. You guys have been doing an awesome job, and I appreciate everything you guys have been doing. There's a problem in heteronormative masculinity, red lipstick vibe that your mother did not more or less convey to your father. And, in the modern times, I like something you said when we had a conversation in private about, how your mom responded to your dad's leadership. It was very powerful. And see, when I was listening to you, I said, wow, that's the kind of woman I think a lot of men would like to have. You were raised to be a wife. You were conditioned to be a wife. You get it. But what are you seeing that your mom did for your father that modern women don't do for their husbands, in your opinion?
A whole lot.
Hold on, Red Lipstick. You're so short, man. I can put you in my pocket. You are so short. Lord have mercy. Red Lipstick, you are short. I can make. I'm gonna start calling you tuba lipstick. I'm calling you tube lipstick because you're so little. You about the size of a tuba lipstick, man.
How come you don't talk about my height now?
I'm gonna put you in my pocket, man. But go ahead.
Well, it goes back to the whole idea of submission. Submission is like a plague to these women, and not really understanding what it really means. I was watching one of Kevin's Recipe to Godfather, one of his little interactions with a young lady, and she was saying how she wanted to be a housewife and all, and she wanted all the bells and whistles, and she made a statement in saying that she didn't really want to be like a traditional housewife because it looked like slavery. And this wow. is what a lot of the young women think that that's what it is. Being a wife is slavery. So instead of them wanting to be a wife, they want to be a partner. Mm-hmm. That's what they call it now. It's no longer a partner, right? It's no longer a marriage. I want a partnership.
Yeah, they want a partnership.
That's what they want now. Yeah.
Right. They say partner. Yeah, I don't do that partner mess. So you my wife, because partner comes from egalitarian. It's an egalitarian construct. TJ, what's your take on that? Based on what I just said a minute ago, what's your take on that?
Well, interestingly enough, I my mom was a single mom, so I did not see the daily interaction of, in a wife role. But I do remember my grandparents. I remember my grandfather, sitting, my grandmother made his plate all the time. My grandmother cooked everything from scratch. Mm-hmm. It's funny because in as much as my grandfather was the leader in that home, my grandmother had some roles, to your point, that, that my grandfather wasn't good at. So he delegated that to her. I think when I think about Mr. Randolph, shout out to New Orleans, because my baby was born and raised in Ninth Ward. He saw his father and mother, and again, his mother went to work every day, but she came home and cooked every day for the kids. So she did.
Right. Yes. I like that. Go ahead. I want to expound upon that, but go ahead.
She, went to work every day, but she came home and she cooked every day. So I think, it's no doubt that things were simpler then. However, the principles still remain. And there might be some modifications that, are made. But again, the intent, going back to the commander's intent, the commander's vision, those things remain. So
here's the problem, TJ. You made an excellent point, but here's the problem with that. You're right, things were a lot more simpler. But at the same time, I would say it was harder, and I'm going to tell you why. Your mother, your husband's mother did not have the modern conveniences like most women now. They had wash machines that were made of, you had to put them in and get like a ringer. You get one of those things, you scrub it, and you had to run it. You had to clean the clothes manually. And so when I hear some of these women talk about, I can't rest in my femininity because I got to work. Your grandma didn't have a microwave.
Right.
Your grandmother didn't have a washing machine. Your grandmother had none of that. But based on your husband's mom, she still came into that marriage with the mindset of a soldier. But see, it was not about her, Officer Randolph. It was about the mission of that family.
Exactly.
And see, I did a show last night, TJ. I don't think a lot of these modern women are fit for marriage because they've been imprinted. And, they've been imprinted so hard that, I don't think they can be, I'm not saying they can't, but I think it makes it harder compared to maybe women of past, that value chastity and virtue, like I told you, I had an opportunity to pledge Alpha Phi Alpha when I was at NCCU, represent the Eagles, when the North Carolina Central, we used to call it the Harvard of the South back in the past. But some of these women have been imprinted so heavily that I think it's hard for them to come into a relationship serving a man because, they remember, TJ, when Dexter curled their toes in college. And, they Dexter, I call him Chorenzo, Chorenzo, the quarterback for OU, made their toes curl in that dorm room. And he didn't hit him with that wooden paddle. He hit him with another paddle, another piece of wood. And it messed him up. But I'm being funny, but I'm being honest at the same time. Women still expect men to be traditional, provide, protect, and put his life on the line. They expect that man to be a bullet bag at any point. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because you ain't going to take a bullet for your husband, but you expect your husband to take a bullet for you.
Yeah.
Am I talking right?
You're talking right.
Am I talking right, TJ?
You're talking right, but I'd still take a bullet though. But I know I wouldn't have to, but I would.
Oh, you would? Oh, you would?
I'm a soldier in every.
He's a soldier, yeah.
Hold on. Right. Hold on. So basically, you got the spirit of Shirley Brown. You like Shirley Brown. That's what you say. Are you hold on, TJ. You all for your man. Hold on.
Now you see, I don't want no trouble now.
Oh, you all for your man.
I tell my husband, I waited my whole life for you. You ain't going nowhere.
So you all for your man. That's what you're saying.
Sure enough.
You all for your man. I respect that. I respect that. The Stylistics wrote a song called "Bet You by Golly Wow." You're the one that I've been waiting for forever. And I don't want to diverge too much off topic. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But it burns me up because, see, women of past, in other or women of foreign countries, not only do they have that feminine je ne sais quoi, they know how to speak life into a man. They know how to reflect his image and his essence as a man. They were raised to be wives, and you're right. These women are professional women, but they don't complain. Well, I can't cook because I had to work today. But see, that's what I don't understand, TJ and Red Lipstick. If you don't have a man, you're going to cook for yourself anyway. If you got kids, unless you're going to be wasting money eating out every day. So why can't you cook for your husband. Because see, there's nourishment in cooking for your man. What's your take on that? Solomon Red Lipstick, go ahead.
I mean, you're absolutely right. And I said this the other day on a panel. I was like, you would do it for yourself. So why is it so hard for you to do it to the man that's taking care of you? So it's confusing to me. And then, you were right when you said, it was actually harder then and it's easier now. I think one of the problems is a lot of women don't know about time management.
I totally agree.
You can, have a full-time job and still, take care of your household. So are you saying to me now that you're working and you still come home to a dirty apartment?
Right.
So right. Are you still coming home to clothes all over the place? So what is the difference between you getting married and working and still taking care of your household? So I'm confused about that. So to me, this goes back to selfishness. I just want to do for me and not for for my husband. So yeah.
Right. And that's why I say a woman gotta have the mind of a soldier, because see, it sounds like to me that Miss Randolph, her husband's wife, her husband's mother had the mind of a soldier. It was not about her own selfish ambition. It was not about her own selfish needs. It was about the mission of that family. Because see, many times, a lot of women have been on their deathbed. My sister just passed away of ovarian cancer. She lived in a $500,000 home, never had kids. And she had a Land Rover, a car probably was around $77,000. Nice ride. But, when she died, she had, she didn't have her progeny or her seed. And, none of that stuff matters in the afterlife. You look at Kevin Sanders, may he rest in peace. Kevin was rich. But when you take your last breath, you ain't taking none of it with you. But what's more important on your deathbed is your family. Because see, family is the epigenesis of life. Family is what helps human beings build strong communities. But see, I said something on yesterday, TJ, and also Red Lipstick Vibe. I said a community without cannot be a community within. I'm going to say it again. A community without the honor and respect of men cannot be a community within as it relates to security, protection, and maintenance. What's your guys' take on that? And before you guys tell me, shout out to my man James Turner. Man, James Turner always make me happy, man. Even though he went to Michigan State and I went to Carolina, and we are the best school in the world, by the way. But James Turner always makes me happy, man. He always showed me love. He always support the stream. I consider James Turner one of those intelligent brothers, they've done the work. He's doing world travel, and he's looking for his wife at some point. He's an awesome brother. Got nothing but love and respect for him. But shout out to James Turner, Top Gun, and all the people that rode with me on this journey to 5K subscribers. And I got some more stuff coming up in the future. TJ, I ain't forgot you about that Gen X Nexus, but I say, I've been telling you about Gen X Nexus for so long. I said, I want to do this one about a soldier, because you'll be the perfect one to talk about it. But shout out to James Turner. And James Turner, here's a little something for reaching 5K subscribers. Proud of you, bro. Onward, upward, no doubt, brother. I appreciate it. It's a deal, right? And James Turner, because of your kindness and because of your unwavering in your service and your love for this channel, you are James Turner, and you always are the #1 sponsor of the stream. Red Lipstick Vibe, so many women now are faking it to get husbands. You got the soft girl era. And some would say it's chameleon behavior. What's your take on chameleon behavior? And why these chameleons are not going to more or less be the best option for men? Because just like Smeagol, the facade going to come off once the duty of marriage take place. What's your take on that?
They're out there. I did a whole show on it twice.
Okay. Talk about it. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, I want to say, because you do have some women that out there that are doing the work to change and become, that feminine, more softer woman, so that she can attract a man for the right reasons. But then you have those that are just doing it for manipulation, and and for, they have a very negative intent from, becoming the so-called, feminine woman. And so that's like that thin line. And for the men, you really, really have to vet very, very carefully in order to identify these chameleons and softer era women. And a lot of times, and I mentioned it on my live the other night, is all you have to do is really listen to what they're saying.
Right.
What you will hear a lot is I. Not a lot of we or him or us. It's a lot of I. What I can get. What I can get anything from it if I just talk in a soft tone.
Right.
And if I do this and that, I can get anything I want. It's the I. You can really, really pull them out. And another thing that I told them the other night is trigger. Once you trigger them, the mask gonna come off.
The mask gonna come off. Yes, ma'am. I've seen it.
We've seen it. We've seen it.
I've seen it.
All you have to do is trigger them, and the real them will come.
The real them will come out. You're right.
Out the door. They'll start talking about your little peen. They'll start cussing you out. It's gone. Salvation gone. She no longer a church girl. Forgot about her call as a pastor because she cussed you out now. It is a real thing. It is a real thing.
Yeah. You're right. What's your take on that, Officer Randolph? I'll start calling you Officer Randolph. What's your take on the officer?
It's funny. My mom used to say, and it's true, you have to go through seasons with people, and through the seasons you will see. Now it's interesting. I'll get with somebody too, and I've been triggered in these YouTube streets because there's certain things I won't allow.
Right.
However, Mr. Randolph has never. It's funny because people that he meets that have known me a long time, he hears stories about how I was, and I was a force to be reckoned with. He looks at it because he doesn't know that person.
Right.
So, but it doesn't mean she ain't there.
Right.
It just means that I'm not. I know who I am and who I'm supposed to be and who I am with my husband. And I just like being a good follower of Christ, you strive every day. It don't mean you don't falter, but I don't falter with him because see, I know where my priorities lie. Right. But everybody else can get it. But I do, I do try, because again, it is a not, forget just trying to be a soft girl for the purposes of getting what you want, but there's a level of freedom that comes with that's the relaxation I get. There's a level of peace, of not feeling that you got to do it all, that you got to be all, that you can just be Mrs. Whomever.
Yeah. Right. I agree with that. I've always said that the masculine is always doing. He is the son, just like Christ is the S-O-N. The man is a type of sun. The woman is the mirror of the moon. She reflects his image. He shines his light and love on the woman. The woman reflects it because it's not about you. It's about him. See, I struggle, Officer Randolph and Red Lipstick Vibes, because, Kevin Samuel used to talk about Christian feminists all the time, and they go under the umbrella of being godly, righteous women, but they struggle with what their true identity is. They struggle with it, Officer Randolph. They struggle because, see, I had a good friend and I love her to death. I love her so much. She's my friend. I love her to death. But I asked her the question. I said, "What's your mission? Is your mission you? Is your mission for your husband? Is your mission for you?" And she said her mission is for us. But I said, "No, that's not right. Your mission is not about y'all. It's about him." And see, like Jesus said, if I be lifted up, then I'll draw all men unto me. When you lift your man up, guess what? He'll take care of you. That's how men operate. Am I giving you some good game? Am I giving you some good game? And so, yeah. Give me a love offering. Y'all gonna start getting quiet.
That's the plate.
Yeah. Let TJ, they say, I'll speak on them. I said, okay, pass the plate for love offering. You hear the crickets chirping. Y'all be like that frog on WB When he was on the lights, he was saying ribbit, ribbit. But when you turn the lights off, he said, hello, my baby. Hello, my sweetheart. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Now you going real old school with that.
I'm going old school. But it's true though about what men want. Men want to, like T.D. Jakes said, men got a need that they can pour into, and when that woman is genuine, that man don't mind giving that woman the best. You know, Anita Baker. You know, you and I read Lipstick of Gen X's, and we remember her music was better. It was clear. You know, we had women like Anita Baker singing the song, giving you the best that I got, baby. You know, the music was powerful. Even the choir music, the gospel music was powerful. Everything was better. That Gen X nexus was the point where things, Gen X is right in the middle where we had a little bit of tradition and history and a little bit of modernism. So we were like the bridge between the old school and the newer generation. But things have got precipitously worse. But many don't want men as it relates to service and honor. They want that man to be a slave to their own selfish needs. And men are saying that they're no longer going to tolerate it. They're not going to tolerate it because they don't have to tolerate it. And the more educated a man is, the more status he got, he can get the best of the best of the best of women. I want to ask you a question, Officer Randolph, because you had to evolve. You had to uncover so that you can recover, because as a clinical therapist, we call it the recovery environment. All clients are expected to recover, but before you can recover, you got to peel back the layers. You have to uncover so that you can recover. What's your biggest struggles as it relates to being a disciplined woman that can take you back to the old TJ? And before you answer that, let me read through these cash apps real quick. Hold tight. Shout out to Gregory Scotland. Gregory Scotland said, Coach is speaking on triggers. We have seen the Passport Brothers, the SYSBM conversation has caused certain women in this space to turn and show their true colors. No doubt. I agree with you, Gregory. No doubt. I've seen it. You've seen it as well. And that's a deal, right? And also shout out to Marlon for International Mango Love. He said, black men, get your passport. The damage is too bad to repair at this point. Leave them in chaos with Pookie, Raekwon, and Man. A shout out to Marlon International Mango Love. And shout out to TJ for the $5 love off. And I appreciate it, sis. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. But back to question. What are your struggles? Being an officer in the military took discipline. It took mental dexterity, and it took the modification of your mind. What are some of your struggles, TJ, that you still struggle with that can take you back to the dark side? Or there are no struggles?
Well, you know, there really aren't. And I will tell you, to go back to you know, you said uncover before I could recover. Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am. You have to uncover, okay, right? So that you can recover, meaning you got to peel back the layers, do the shallow work, uncover the brokenness, hurt, and pain that you experienced from your past, so that you can recover and be stable to be the best person, not only for your husband, but also for your family and your community.
You know, I will tell you, I think what's really important when we think about this quote unquote soft girl era is one of the things I can honestly say, even though I had not completely made it, I started the process before I met him. You understand me? I started the process of trying to get to the bottom of why I kept making these wrong choices in men before I met him. I started trying to be a better woman for me first. Right. And in so doing, it enabled me to see him. Whereas that before, I would not have even seen him. So I think the most challenging thing I've had, I think, since we've been together 4 years now, and it's really not a challenge, I think, is not, because I act really fast. You know, and if I ask him if I could do something, if I could buy something, a big purchase, but when he says yes, I'm already researching how to get it. But but I think the thing is not jumping the gun, because I was always been the one that would just do stuff. So I'll give you a real quick example. We just bought a new house, and we wanted to get a pool. I need a pool.
Right.
So he said we can get a pool next year. Well, the old me would have been trying to figure out a way to get it done this year. but I yielded because Mr. Randolph said next year. So that's the difference.
I respect that. Anything else about your personality or temperament that you still struggle with? Meaning, you know, you could be probably fiery. You seem like you can be fiery. Do you ever struggle in verbal debates? Well, not verbal debates, but like if your husband said, listen, this is the way it's going to be. I expect you to follow this. Do you struggle with being the old TJ that will talk junk and say, no, I'm going to do what I want to do, or you just go with the flow and respect him?
Never. And it's so funny because, like I said, people who've known me for years, they said they've never seen me in this posture, but they've also attested that they've never seen me happier. I give another example. We recently had some work done. We had the insurance, we had to get an insurance quote for our roof. And so we were going back and forth with the contractor. And we already agreed that he was going to take the lead in the conversation because he was on the road and we did a 3-way call. Well, we were both getting frustrated with the person because we thought that they were kind of steering us along. So the fire in me came out and I was I was getting ready to go in and I started talking and he said, Terry. And I said, okay. And that was it. I didn't say nothing else. That was it. That was it.
What is about your man? What is about your husband that balances you? And before you say that, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate. First, I want you to ask the question: what is it about your husband that balances you? And then I'm gonna take it to the opposite side. So, what is it about your man that balances you? He's an intellectual like you are, but how does he balance you?
He is. It's funny. They say a woman will try to find a man like her father, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And in my case, my father figure was my grandfather. And my husband is a lot like my grandfather. To be in my grandfather's presence, I felt safety. I feel the same thing with my husband. Mm-hmm. He's not a person, he's not a man of a whole lot of words, but he's very intent on what he says and he means what he says. He is not a talker, he is a doer, and he leads by example everything that I was taught in the military. What he says he's going to do, he does. And he's just, and of course, first and foremost, he is a leader in God. He is led by God, and he shows that on a daily basis.
Right.
And he's very much the opposite of me. I am more of an extrovert. He's more of an introvert, but he makes his presence known. And that is exactly the way my grandfather was. He had a command presence that required and commanded your respect. And I'm just going to keep it 1,000. It turns me on.
Oh, wow. Right. So the devil's advocate, because what do you say to your critics who will say, well, Terry, a professional woman that make plenty of money, wouldn't have dated a truck driver maybe 20 years ago? Is that fair to say?
Well, I say yes and no. I say yes because I probably wouldn't have met him because we didn't run in the same circles. And the same thing about even now. Had we not met online, we probably wouldn't have met each other. Why? Because he was on the road. We didn't go to the same church. We didn't shop in the same places. We weren't going to clubs. But as I told, I've dated blue collar men before. I just wanted you to be able to work. And not just be able to work, be willing to work and have a work ethic because, again, my grandfather was a blue-collar worker. And we talked about it, I came up in a generation where, people worked at GM, people worked at the post office, people worked at the military bases. And though they worked for the city, those were good jobs that you were able to raise families. So that was never an issue. I think the thing would have just been the proximity. Like they talk about, celebrities date celebrities because that's who they're around. So I think that would be the difference.
Right, that makes sense. Celebrities date celebrities. That makes a lot of sense. You talked about sabotage. We're going to talk about sabotage. How do modern women sabotage themselves in relationships? Start on a red lipstick vibe and then go into TJ.
Hellfire in the mouth. They mouth.
Break it down.
The woman's tongue can either give life or can actually kill somebody. And in a relationship, women now, they have a very vicious mouth. They are very disrespectful. They're not you know, I can't even, I want to say some words, but I'm not going to say the words on here. But a lot of times they talk themselves out of a good relationship. They talk themselves out of finding that person that they're, you know, that could be, you know, a good for them. And they use their tongue just yeah, sabotages them a lot. They don't know how to communicate, and they talk about men not communicating with them, but in turn, a lot of times the modern woman don't know how to talk to a traditional man. They know how to talk to modern men, you know, with all that, you know, all that.
Right.
When they want a traditional man, they don't know how to operate. They don't know how to tame the tongue. They don't know how to talk to them. So I think, you know, one good example of how they sabotage themselves is their mouth. It's just, you know, foul.
Excellent point. TJ, Officer Randolph, how do modern women sabotage themselves in relationships, in your opinion?
Well, you know, in addition to what Ms. T said, and please forgive me, I'm moving around. I might have to call back because my battery's getting low. But I
That's
think
fine.
in addition to what Ms. T said, I think a lot of times, particularly going back to that trauma response, you know, if you find yourself in a good relationship and with a good man because you ain't used to it, you're like, oh, it's too good to be true. Let me F it up.
Right.
So that happens a lot. But I will agree that, and also I will agree with what Ms. T said, but also I think it's important that we get out of our own way. And like I said, I'll just give you the examples that I gave you with respect to, in as much as I could have said, you know, yeah, I'm going to get with my husband's program, but yet still doing what I want to do, i.e., he said we'll get the pool next year, but I'm going to make it happen this year. That's self-sabotage, because that means that I'm not following my husband's lead. That means I'm perpetrating a fraud. That's what it means.
Right. I totally agree. Shout out to my man Top Gun. He said, "Phenomenity, phenomenity rule." I know, man, you're a fool, man. Phenomenity, you're a fool, dog. Winter's coming. You know, it's about to get, fall is about here, and it's about to get cold outside. Every time I see your pictures, you look so happy, you know. Did you ever think you would find a man that would love you the way your husband loved you? Starting with TJ. And then Smurfette, I'm going to ask you a question.
Smurfette.
This Smurfette, I'm going to ask you a question. Why? I know you're about to get married at some point, but what took you so long? But before we get to it, TJ, did you ever think you would fall in love or get a man to love you as much as your husband? Because I see the joy in your face. Did you ever think you would get a man to love you as well as your husband?
No, and I get, you know, again, it goes back to the word. He says he'll give you abundantly more than what you could ever think for yourself. And, you know, my father and I did a video a couple of weeks ago that he said that he was so happy for me because, you know, it wasn't that I wasn't giving love and trying to be those kinds of things. I was trying to be those kinds of things to the wrong people. And not to say that I got it right all the time, because I clearly didn't. But I was giving to the wrong people. And my dad said that he was so happy to see me receive as much as I was given, but this time giving it to the right person. But in answer to your question, no. And I think I've often said, you know, I waited my whole life for him.
Wow.
And, you know, everything I'd gone through in my life prepared me for now. And it may not be, you know, whatever the rest of my life is, at least I have the rest of it to share with him.
Yes, ma'am. Right. I respect that. And I'm happy for you. I think you're rare because many don't get it. Many don't get it. Many don't get it. And true to what Andrew Baker's saying, he said, salute coach and panel. Far too many Western women, black women, have abused black men verbally and physically to the point most black men don't care anymore while they play the victim. The grace period is over. We are out, and that's a deal, right? And I appreciate it. I mean, Andrew Baker for that $20 super chat. I really appreciate it, brother. But I think Greg Andrew Baker is correct. Red lipstick vibe, the verbal abuse, the lack of cooperation, the salt girl era, where they're faking that they're feminine, but they're really just salt. They're part of the bitter Betty brigade, where they're trying to more or less curtail or coalesce men into bad relationships, only to fleece them once they get bored and tired. But you grew up in a traditional family, a red lipstick. You grew up in a very godly family. I was very impressed with your background and also how you were raised, because you were raised similar to me. But your critics will ask the question, why is a woman like red lipstick not married? And we know you're about to get married at some point, but they will ask the question, why is red lipstick not married? She's nice, she's kind, she's short and chocolate, why?
Why about my height now.
Let me stop messing with you, because you're a Cancer. You'll get mad quick, man. You might end up cutting me, man. But why is red lipstick not married? We know you're about to get married at some point, but why? Why having that strong background? Why you never crossed over the threshold?
So I did have a child out of wedlock.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
When I was 29, and he. So those who don't know me, he does have autism.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
So I didn't want to. So that part of my life, I focused solely on him, and there was no room for nobody else.
Oh, okay. I respect that.
So being that I was, if anybody know anything about having a child with a disability, is very time consuming, and you have no time for nobody else really. And so I know that, if I were to get married, then I know that a lot of my time will have to be split. And in order for me to focus on healing my son, I couldn't take on that additional duty.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
So I spent most of, so now he's older, he's 18. I was able to get him graduated from high school with honors. He's in a training program. He has his first little job. So I feel like my job is not completely done, but I've done enough in order for him to thrive on his own. So now that I'll be able to take care of me now.
Right. Well, I think what you did is honorable, because many of these chicks, they don't put their children first. They put their own selfish needs first. And that's a testament to grace to you. I respect you for that, to put your son's needs before your own needs. And that makes me respect you even more, because
Can I speak
my
on
friends
that?
laughing. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Again, shout out to you, Miss T, because I will say that, I'm not going to lie and say I didn't try to, find my husband while I was still raising my daughter. But it goes to show that timing is everything, because even in not finding him, I was able to give her things and focus on her. Like you said, my attention was and would have been divided.
Yep.
And I would not have been able to, one, do the work that I needed to do because you're focusing on your child. But I think now I can appreciate it that much more. And we as a unit, we have our children and our grandchildren. And it's a different type of marriage, a different type of life that I'm not sure I would have been able to do trying to raise her. So again, I commend you as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I commend her too.
I also have to say this too, if those don't know what autism is a very tricky thing because you have levels. And when my son was diagnosed with autism, I myself needed to heal as well because I went through very severe depression. I blame myself for him having autism. So I had to do a healing process as well. So again, I didn't want to bring somebody else into that whirlwind of chaos that I was dealing with. And also, a lot of men don't have patience because you have to have a lot of patience when you're dealing with a child with a disability. And that was one of my fears. And so that was another thing that I did not want to take on as well. But I was blessed to actually, find someone. Well, he found me. He found me because he was trying to give me a speeding ticket. He was trying to give me a ticket. And it turns out that he had a son with autism.
Wow.
And so it was like God just brought the right person in my life. So he understood, he knew the process, he knew what I was going through, and and what his son is way older than my son. His son's like 25. So he knows.
Right, right,
So,
right.
it was like, a blessing that we found each other. So I'm glad I did wait.
James Turner asked you red lipstick. He said, "Why didn't you stay with your son's father?"
When my son's father found out that he had autism.
Oh, hold tight. Go ahead. Go ahead.
When my son's father found out that he had autism, the last thing he said to me was, "He doesn't make retarded children."
Oh, wow. Are you serious? Wow, man. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, autism is not, you're not retarded because you have autism.
It was ignorance on his part.
Yeah, because I was a special ed teacher. There's high functioning autism. They might have sensory issues, and they might can't read social cues, or like they might look through you instead of looking at you. But they can be sharper than the average person. They might be socially awkward. but they're very intelligent.
My son is at level 2, so he's kind of, he has that social awkward thing and have a hard time understand communication, but he's very smart. Very smart.
Right. Very smart. Right.
So at that time, back then, this was like in 2003, when I heard the word autism, I didn't even know what autism was, and I was working in the health community. So it was like, okay. So I can only imagine, what it was when he heard those words and only didn't understand what it was. And so out of fear, and, I teach a class in the autism community. And so to help other people understand that it's literally like a death, because in your mind, you have this image of your child when you have a child. Right. And to think and, feel like they are not going to be exactly what you thought they were going to be. It's like you're going through death, and it's these stages that you go through, and a lot of people can't handle that. And unfortunately, he couldn't handle that, and so I never heard from him again.
Yeah. Oh, so to this point, you never heard from your kid's father? Never.
Nope.
Wow. Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's selfish, man. That's extremely selfish. Red lipstick and TJ, what did a traditional woman look like in the past that was wife ready? And why have women been so radically different in the last 30 to 40 to 50 years? Because when I was growing up in the 90s, TJ, and also red lipstick, we saw women still exhibit what their mothers and grandmothers exhibited. They weren't perfect. But now you don't even see a vestige of that. It's almost like it's been gone for years. What happened to that, guys, in your all's opinion?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Liberal studies is part of it.
It's a lot of it. I would say all of it, TJ. Go ahead, but you're right. I agree with you.
Liberal studies is definitely a part of it, and I will say, I've said it before, at the time when I was in college, at the time that I was in college, I was excited about, women's studies, but I never considered that learning about the contributions of women would be at the exclusion of the importance of men. I never thought about that, never even considered it. Mm-hmm. So I think part of that, and I use a lot of anecdotal references because I think many women can identify with that. Mm-hmm. But, some of us thought when we saw our grandmothers and mothers do certain things, we thought that was weak.
Right.
We thought that was weak, and we said that I'm not going to do that because, again, I was cooking meals at the age of 8 because I was a latchkey kid and my mom was a single mom. So, because we had to. So we're thinking when I went to college and was pretty much on my own, I'm like, I ain't cooking for nobody. So I think that was part of it. And this idea of independence and self-sufficiency. But I think some of us just took it to extremes, not realizing the ultimate outcomes. Some of us, and I say some of us because I think about some of my college friends, whether they knew that they got it or not, they did, because they met their husbands in college and maybe got married after college and they still are together. Not to say that, marriage didn't come with challenges, because all marriages do.
Right.
But they knew something that I didn't.
Right.
But also, many of those women who got married, they came from two-parent households as well. So they had that as an example. So I just think a lot of it is liberal studies. And with liberal studies, you also have the liberation of our bodies, if you will. So that
right.
To do things that our foremothers wouldn't have dreamed of doing.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I tell you, man, I got nothing but respect for that. You're 1,000% correct. And I was joking yesterday, but serious at the same time. I did a show called The Imprint, and I told people I was not here to castigate nobody's sorority or fraternity. But I know a lot of Greeks, not all, but many would get it in. They got it in college. They were getting in with the athletes, the popular guys, the Kappas, the Alphas, the Qs, and all of that. And I'm a firm believer, TJ, that you got chicks that have had so much fun that it's hard for them to bond with their husbands now. They're not bad people, but like you said, they did things to their mothers and their grandmothers would have never have done, because see, those women were able to cleave to their husbands better. But a lot of these chicks now, they can't do it, and they get bored in marriage. And I did the show on yesterday talking about the Imprint. You looking at her, she looking at her man, and she tell her man thought she said moo, but she was really saying roo. Because she remembered that cute dog that made her toes curl. And I'm a firm believer you can't be ready for the art of war as it relates to marriage if you've been heavily imprinted by a lot of different men. What's your take on that?
I totally agree with it. And I actually came across a study that was done where they were saying that how the higher your body count, the more it's hard for you to connect on the emotional and spiritual level with your mate. So, I think the whole sexual liberation and whole feminist thing where, I want to be equal in every way. So, they take this thing where they just want to, whatever a man could do, they want to do better. And that goes with even, with the whole sexual thing. They feel like, oh, if the guy can sleep around and not be called a slut or whatever, so then that means I can sleep around and my body count shouldn't matter. But it does matter.
It does matter.
It does matter.
It matters. Yeah. Because men by nature are very dominant. It's no different, TJ and Red Lipstick. There are some women that have been bisexual, had bi-curious relationships, and some men can look past that. Now, I don't think I would accept that for my wife, but some men can look past it. But let a man tell his woman, before I fell in love with you, baby, I slept with a couple Kappas and Qs in college. but the Lord saved me. That woman don't want to hear that. Am I right or wrong?
I cannot. I mean,
Am I right or wrong, a Red Lipstick?
There is.
Am I right or wrong?
It's deliverance.
Yeah. It's deliverance, but you ain't gonna. And that man tell you.
But you do have some women that think, if I condemn the guy for doing it, then they're gonna look at me too. So they're gonna say, oh, they don't bother me, So it's just, it's a thin line right there, But again, women are now want to be like men in every aspect. So that creates a big shift in relationships.
Right.
So
it
that's why it doesn't work.
Right. It's a huge shift. Shout out to my man Passport OG for that $2.50 super sticker. Thank you, brother. I think that's a yield. I think that's a yield. But I'm going to ask you a question, Red Lipstick. How does a woman create balance in a home? How does a woman create balance in a home, in your opinion? Because if we talk about marriage, takes a disciplined woman. How does a woman create balance in the home, in your opinion?
Well, before she even gets married, she has to be balanced with herself. You can't be chaotic. You have to know what your purpose is for yourself as a woman, and then you'll be able to adapt to the purpose and mission of your husband. You have to be flexible, malleable, and teachable. And that's one of the things that a lot of the women are lack today is they're unable to be taught, especially when it comes to a men, because of that whole feminist thing that they got going on. You have to be that way. And with that comes, you have to have discipline, you have to have time management. And you have to be able, and I'll say it like this: if you are unable to serve others, what makes you think you're going to be able to serve your husband?
I totally agree. Yes, ma'am. Right.
If you are a very selfish person, I hate to hear the women talk about this whole conditional submission, conditional femininity, and all that. Or shouldn't have to do that because if he's not doing that for me or whatever, that's all foolish talk to me. So I think a lot of times, in order to balance, because let's face it, nowadays you have to have two income household, and I hear that as one of the problems, like a lot of these modern women have. If I have to work and this and that, why I have to do this and why? So you have to know how to prioritize your life,
Right.
before you even get married. And this, I believe that this is when should happen during the courting stage. The courting stage, to me, the way I was taught, is sort of like you play not play house, but test each other and learn each other and understand where he wants to take you as a woman. This is what happens in the courting stage. So you're not learning all this as soon as you go down the aisle. You're supposed to know all this stuff before you go down the aisle. You have to know exactly what this man wants in the intentions that he needs for his household. You can't just learn it after the wedding day or after the honeymoon. These things are conversations you're supposed to have beforehand. It should be no surprises to say, "Oh, well, I didn't know that he wanted me to do all that." You should know that beforehand. These are conversations you're supposed to have, and this will help you learn to guide the rest of your marriage, because I know what he wants from me, and I know what my mission is. I got my assignment papers. Now I have to implement it.
Yeah, I totally agree. TJ, did you hear what I was saying earlier before you popped off? Did you hear me?
No, I lost everything.
Unmute yourself, TJ. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, TJ? You there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I lost everything. Wasn't able to hear anything.
Yeah. So, me and Red Lipstick were talking about the imprint, and, a lot of these women, when they get married, they're not really fit because they've been imprinted by so many different men. And I was talking about there are some, and I'm not saying, I'm not here to castrate nobody's sorority or fraternity, that because they were in so much fun in their younger years in college, some of them, not all, struggle to be in healthy relationships. Let me ask you a question. You talked about what some of these women did their grandparents would have never done, and you're right. But the women that had a lot of fun that you remember in college, are they married now, TJ, or are many divorced, in your opinion?
I'll say it's a mixed bag, to be honest.
It's a mixed bag. Okay, talk about it.
It's a mixed bag. Some have been married and are still married. Some have been married and divorced and married again. Some never married and never had any children. And then you have some that had a series who wanted to be married. And I think many women that I knew, they may have been imprinted, but it wasn't for, having sex for sex sake.
Right.
They wanted, they thought that these relationships would lead to something, and they didn't. A lot of us, and I'll throw myself in there, a lot of us didn't know that there are certain things, not only with our actions that we should have done, but certain things we should have communicated. There were assumptions made in a sense, well, we never talked about being in a relationship, but we assumed that they knew what we wanted and they wanted the same thing. And that's just not the way it works. That's just not reality. So it is a mixed bag, you know, and I'll throw myself into that, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Say that I was a virgin when I met my husband, even
yes, ma'am.
Understanding my daughter's father,
right,
but not a hoe.
Right. Right. No, I respect your honesty, man. I respect your honesty and your transparency, because it takes a lot of courage to be honest and real for the younger women. You know, there was a song, TJ, and Red Lipstick, and it was talking about, I can't think of the name of that song. But let me actually, I'm gonna put the clip up and let you guys see it. But this one was talking about she got murder on her mind. She was in a Planned Parenthood clinic.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
You see,
Yeah. Oh, God.
you seen it? Have you seen the TJ?
No.
Be prepared.
Okay. Yeah, be prepared. I gotta be careful. I don't want to get flagged. Let me see. Let's see if I can pull it up. Hold on. And these kind of women are not ready to be married because they're not mentally disciplined. And there was a woman that had 2,000 bodies, but I'm gonna show it to you, TJ. Hold on. Hold tight. I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful how I show this, man, because I don't want to get flagged. Hold on. Hold on.
I'm BDF, nigga, baby daddy free. That mean I ain't got a nigga. T-I-N-G on my way.
So, TJ, you see some of this foolishness, but why is there no shame? There's no shame. You know, she said, baby daddy murder on my mind. She's talking about deleting her baby. Where's the shame that your grandmom and grandmother had?
Well, I'm inclined to believe that some of these women didn't have grandmothers. Didn't have mamas. And I mean, they had birthers. They had, birthers.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna tell you because, like I said, my generation, we did what would have been considered risque back then, but we didn't walk around looking like that.
Right.
My mom told me you can look sensual without looking sleazy. My mom told me leave something to the imagination.
Exactly.
These flea males, and I say flea males because women like that make me itch like fleas.
Yes.
Flea males, right. Flea males. I like that. I might have to steal that TJ. Flea males. Yes. Go ahead.
Break out in hives.
They don't, many of them weren't raised right. And also, let's not forget this fantasy world that social media, celebrities, and media have created, that these flea males think that is real life, and it's not. They have, and again, unfortunately, many women are just living for the today. And they don't, I said, I don't want to belabor the point, but I said in one of my first videos, I said that even though when I was young, I still envisioned myself someday as a wife, mother, and grandmother. I still envisioned that for myself.
Right.
I don't think these girls even envision it.
Right.
So if you can't envision it for yourself, you won't govern yourself accordingly.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
No, I totally agree. And so many are proponents of saving the community, but I think it's done, TJ. I believe what the Bible say. If a man, you can't take new wine and put it into old wineskin. And when you go back and look at when you and I were Gen X or something, you grew up in Oklahoma. I grew up in the greatest state of the Union, the Tar Heel state. Things were totally different when we were kids. I mean, even the women that were doing dirt still had a level of decency about themselves. And you didn't have as much rapid, open promiscuity. We know that some were, getting it in behind the scene. I remember Kevin talking about it when he was living, but there was a level of shame about it. But there is no shame. And this woman is parading, but they want men to come back and get with women like this, TJ, They don't have any decorum, don't have any respect. But I said earlier that you can't raise a community with broken women. You can't raise a community with the vessels being broken. And men that got money and means are not going to tolerate it. So let me let you finish listening a little bit of this. Hold tight, TJ. Hold on.
I got murder on my mind.
So she says she got, yeah, Lord bless her poor fool.
I forgot the plan.
Hold on a minute. Let me. Yeah.
Bitches having babies, but
Yeah, it's just too graphic because it's too risky. I can't take a chance. I tell you what, I'm gonna.
I can tell you what she says. She says.
Go ahead.
People said that I sound like I'm underwater. And
it's like crackling a little bit.
Dadgummit.
So she's saying that she has murder on her mind. She forgot her plan B, so she got the cash so she can go to Planned Parenthood to do that because other B's are having babies and that's not her.
Right.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Right.
Is this better?
Yeah, it's still scratchy. You know, it's like you sound like you need some throat lozenges. But
well, I might have bowed because again I'm in the woods, so that's why they did I'm in the woods. I was just gonna leave. You know, she sounds like what my grandmother used to say, a tramp.
Right. No, I agree with you. Top Gun said that Glocktavius is licking his chops in this video. $2 super chat. Yeah, I think Glocktavius is licking his chops. But I'm gonna ask you a question, TJ. But hold on, let me finish listening to some of this. Hold on.
I swallow all his children. I got hyphy in my blood, so you know I'm big pimpin'. Niggas trying to fall in love. Tell them niggas I ain't.
And you know what's so bad about the TJ and red lipstick? They brag about not wanting to be in a relationship. That's how masculine they are. You know, they got so many, they got them semen demons that, they can't even give a man the kind of relationship that he wants because they're so damaged. And that's why, TJ, I'm not against saving, hold tight. I'm not against saving the community or giving to the community, but I think it's broken and done. Hold tight. Are you there, TJ?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
That's better. That's way better. That's way better. That's way better. Hold tight.
Guess and skip the L's. I'm a P. I be on these bitches next. They like Nick. I can't breathe.
All right. Anyway, I'm gonna pass it. It's just too risky. I don't want to take no chances. But I don't want to take no chance. But when you see that red lipstick vibe, what's going through your head as a godly woman that was raised in the church?
It's disgusting. I don't ever remember anything like that growing up. Like you guys were saying, we were taught how to dress, how to, present ourselves when we walked out the door, or was always taught when you walk out the door, you're representing the family. Like if I would go outside with a bonnet and some slippers on, my mother will, Lord have mercy. It would be another story, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But they are broken. I agree with you. There's a lot of broken women, but we have to look where they came from, because a lot of these young ladies are raised in a household with women that act just like that, even worse, and so they are a reflection of their mothers. Mm-hmm. They're a reflection of their household. Mm-hmm. Where do you think they've learned this stuff from at first? I mean, I've seen, mothers with their daughters and they're competing with each other. So mama dressed like that and daughter dressed like that, and they both going to the club together. Right. So it's like a competition. They're no longer parents anymore. Mama is not mama anymore. They're best friends. Right. Nobody's parenting nobody. They're all being raised up together. So they're all doing the same thing. I guarantee you, if you see her mother probably got red hair, blue eyelashes. You know what I'm saying? She probably looked just like her and talked just like her. So can we fault her? Because she's probably just a product of her environment.
Yeah, product of her environment, but also a rebel, in my opinion. You're right. It's nurture and nurture. Marlo, the international mango lover, said that black women are upset because the cleanup men heading overseas. Winter's here. What's your take on that, TJ? And then also red lipstick.
Well, I mean, what are my thoughts about this statement?
Yes, ma'am. Huh?
Well, I think those who are upset because they may believe that they are playing a part in the pushing men away, in my opinion. Because those of us who are not upset, even the ones that are not married, they're like, well, that don't apply to me. So
exactly right.
that don't apply to me. Like I said, I talked to my daughter. I talked to some of her friends. She was like, well, that's true, but I don't get true because it don't apply to me.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, but it doesn't apply to you. But you've evolved when you share your story with your girlfriends. Do they honor and say, "Wow, TJ, I wish I had to learn like you," or are they bitter and stuffy because you evolved and they didn't evolve?
Well, to be honest, we had my girlfriends, the ones that are single, many of them still are. They have not expressed anything bitter to me. They are really, if anything, I think they're inspired by the joy that I have. Mm-hmm. But some of them realize that it may be too late for them. They have realized that because, again, my friends, we're in our 50s, mm-hmm. But no, they have not, none of them have been, naysayers or saying, why are you doing it? No, it's not been any of that. If it's been some of that, it hasn't been brought to my attention.
Right. There's an old scripture, a red lipstick, that talks about a person got to be born again to enter the kingdom of heaven. Why do women have to be born again to enter the kingdom of man on earth, in your opinion, starting with you and then TJ? Because that's all part of being disciplined as it relates to being a soldier.
Well, the first thing with repentance is acknowledgement, mm-hmm. and taking accountability. So, and that's one of the hardest things that most women cannot do, is to acknowledge that there is something that I need to change and I'm doing wrong, and taking responsibility for your actions. Mm-hmm. And that is the first step that they need to take. And quite frankly, sometimes that's the hardest part, to mm-hmm. actually look at yourself in the mirror and say, girl, you all messed up. Mm-hmm. Because that's a hard pill to swallow. And I think that's one of the problems. A lot of the young ladies had a problem with Kevin, because he was actually showing them, putting a mirror to their face and say, this is, look at yourself. And this is why you're still single. This is why you will buy a dog and die alone. This is why you're not getting the outcomes that you want. And that's the hardest part when it comes to repentance. It's acknowledging and taking accountability.
Yeah, I totally agree. Must a modern woman be born again, TJ, if she's going to enter into the kingdom of man as it relates to a healthy, competent, masculine man? Must she be born again, in your opinion? And if so, why and how?
Well, I think so, but I think what is going to be tragic for many of us is that, like people who are on drugs or that are addicted to alcohol, there have been times that you have to say that a person has to hit rock bottom, right, before they make a change. And I will say that was me. And the thing about it, I did not know. A lot of it was just I did not know, because I thought I was doing things right. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't. And there were reasons for that, because, again, I operated from the outside looking in. I operated as a whole person, confident in myself, but I clearly wasn't, based on that choice that I was making. So in that case, for me, I ultimately hit rock bottom. And it was in that bottom state. I'm like, what's wrong with me? So in some cases, it's going to take that. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, it may be too late for many. And I knew that there was a possibility it was going to be too late for me. But like I said, I started doing the work because I wanted to be good and better for me, even if that meant me was going to be by myself.
Right. You know, we talk about the duty as it relates to being in relationships. We talked about that. But I'm going to finish letting you look at this clip real quick, because I'm convinced that women like this woman, they have compromised her virtue by giving away to so many men. It's not only not disciplined, but she's not fit for the duty of a wife. And then we're going to talk about the art of war as it relates to being married. So hold tight. I'm going to finish and let you listen to it. And hold tight.
To the clinic.
And this fool says she got murder on her mind. Lord have mercy. Hold tight.
Little boy.
All right. So this lady.
My truth.
She said she's speaking her truth. Hold on.
12 years old. Literally, I remember I lost my virginity at 12 years old. I remember the boy, everything. I remember the whole day like it was yesterday. But 12, bitch, to now. It's been a lot. Girl, is it just my body count for just niggas or niggas and bitches?
Everybody.
I would say like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I say like 2,000. To be real honest with, like, if you put niggas and bitches, because I done fucked a lot of bitches too. So I be fucking niggas, I be fucking bitches, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna front. Like, I'm gonna keep it blood raw. Like, bitch, probably two bands, 2,000 bitch sexual part.
What's your initial take, TJ, when you hear that? What's your initial take when you hear this woman brag about being a human petri dish?
I just threw up in my mouth.
Right. 2,000 bands. You know, that's what she said. 2 bands, I'm sorry.
So cavalierly.
Cavalierly, right. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm disgusting. But here's the thing. What is clear to me, I bet you could not convince this young, I'm not gonna call her young lady, this female, that her self-esteem is low. I bet you couldn't convince her of that. Mm-hmm. In her mind, she thinks it's high because she has control and she's choosing to be. You could not convince her that she does not think highly of herself.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. She's definitely a broken vessel. What's your take on the red lipstick when you heard it?
I was kind of just stuck on when she said 12 was her first experience.
Right, 12 was the first experience, right.
You know, that's so hard. A part of me feels, you know, kind of like sympathy or empathy for her. And then the other part is like, child, you a hoe, okay? But it's sad, and I think, you know, and she's not the only one. There's a lot of these young ladies out here that have that same mindset. I think because, you know, having casual sex is so glorified, and it's, you know, a sport, you know, it's something to do. People are not understanding that it's not just a physical thing, that, you know, having sex with multiple partners, you know, you're actually damaging yourself, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and they're not understanding that. And I agree with TJ, you know, if you would say to her, you have a low self-esteem, she probably would say, I don't know what you're talking about. I love myself, blah, blah, blah. But how can you love yourself and you doing that damage to yourself on all levels?
Right. What's your take on it, TJ?
Well, I think it's interesting because my mom used to talk to me when I was younger about soul ties.
Soul ties, right.
Exactly.
And I think when I look at women like her, and you're going to regret this. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. If anything, list Kim Kardashian. When she was making that videotape with Ray J, did not, you know, but when her son came asking questions,
exactly,
then she want to cry. That's going to happen again.
Right.
You know, but these females that they're living for today, and they do not, you know, I'm just disgusted. And here's the thing. It's not like, I think we talked about it earlier. You can't tell these women anything. If you say it nicely, it don't matter. If you
Yes,
say it
ma'am. I heard you
harshly,
say
it
that.
don't
You say it harshly. You can't tell them nothing. Right.
Tell
because I
nothing.
have
Yeah.
Can't tell them nothing.
seen my mom try to talk to young women about the way that they cursing and stuff like that. And she told me how they treat her. I'm like, I am so glad I wasn't here because I would have caught a case
Oh,
where they
wow.
talk to my mom. Let me get out of here before I have to whoop an old bitch. What?
They said that to your mom?
Yeah, I wasn't here.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother told me about it.
Yeah.
They said that to your mother?
Wow.
And my mom told me a couple of years ago she was in
Wow.
Home Depot, and as she's standing in line, some girl taking her braids out and putting the braids on the conveyor belt that you put your stuff on.
Oh my
So my
God.
mother said, "Honey, you're really too beautiful to do that. Baby, don't do that." The girl walks out. My mom tells me, she said, "Let me get out of here before I have to whip an old bitch."
Hmm. Very
Oh,
disrespectful.
wow. Very masculine. But
Yeah.
but they want these good younger men to come back and save community, save trash. They want
Right.
these young men to save trash. And I heard you talk on the show, Miss Officer Randolph, about I think your nephews or some of the young men in your family. Like, you don't have a problem with them dating outside, but also interracially. What's your take on that, and what made you come to that conclusion?
Well, what made me come to the conclusion is that, again, whether it be adopted nephews or biological nephews, they would just tell me how mean our black girls were.
Right.
How mean, superficial, ratchet.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, I have nephews in, California, Oklahoma, different places throughout the country. And the stories were the same. Some of my nephews not even having girlfriends until after high school because none of the girls was me.
Right.
You know, um, so
Hello? She there?
there's only so much you can. And again, I would look kind of like, can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. Go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, for it to be that way, but oh God, I don't know. I guess I'm going out again. I think I'm going out.
We hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I said there's only so much you can fight.
Right. Right.
And because at the end of the day, they mine, meaning my family, and I don't want them to be mistreated. Because I'm crazy.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I hear you when it comes down to family. I respect you 100% for that. There's an art of war, Red Lipstick, and also TJ, and you being an officer in the military, we know that it takes discipline. Why is the art of war so important in a marriage? Because there are going to be many things coming against your marriage and your relationship. It could be family. It could be exes. It could be unresolved mental illness. It could be the lack of self-awareness. It could be bitter women trying to sabotage your relationship. Why is the art of war so vital, in your opinion, as it relates to relationships and also as it relates to marriage?
Well, the art of war is important because again, it is it's about strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's about knowing yourself as well as your enemy. And your enemy is not necessarily your husband, but it might be the outside forces that try to pit you against your husband or pit you against your mate. So also it's telling you how to know yourself, know those whom you're serving, know the enemy, because if you know the enemy, you know how to maneuver around them, whether it be friends or family. So you can stay in this fight for your marriage. And again, it's just very it's strategic thinking, and it teaches you how to think strategically and logically and without emotion. And it's you can apply it to not just war, but just any relationship. Because I was reading some quotes, I was going to try to find them, but I done misplaced my stuff to quote some of the more famous quotes. But I think it's just a frame of mind that that book provides.
Mm.
The art of war, Red Lipstick. Why is it important to understand the art of war as it relates to marriage and relationships? And before you answer that, TJ, you talked about internal factors as it relates to the external factors. But when it comes down to the internal factors, why must there be an art of war? Meaning, how can you use your femininity not to challenge the masculinity of your husband?
Well, again, it's knowing him and knowing how to get the best result from him, not just in an isolated way, but in a continuous way. Because again, that will reap the benefits for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it.
Okay, Red Lipstick, the art of war. What does that mean to you?
So, kind of to piggyback on what TJ just said, I think, learning your husband is very, very important. So you have to be able to see the things that he can't see. And that is, those internal things, those spiritual things, those mental things. So I was taught, you must know your husband so much that he doesn't even have to tell you what's wrong. You can feel it.
Right.
You'll know when something's not right. You'll know what steps to take that you're supposed to take when he walks through the door. And that goes with coming, when, this thing you said you're supposed to create a place of peace. When in order to create a place of peace, you're supposed to know, the actual place and the people that's in it. You have to learn each and every part, your children. You have to know your husband. And that not just knowing them physically, but you have to know them on a spiritual level as well. You have to feel each other.
Right.
I use for an example, and use my son as an example because, with autism, he doesn't really know how to express himself and tell me what's wrong. Do you not know that I can tell exactly what hurts him without even him telling me it hurts him?
Right.
Because I'm in tune with him. And even with my fiance now, I know him that much already because I took the time to know him and got to know him. That's one thing a lot of ladies don't do. We want the men to know us. You got to know me. You got to do this. But we don't get the chance. We don't take the time to get to know that man. Like even now, I know by the tone of his voice talking to me on the phone what time he's on.
Right.
Is it a time for me to talk to him or is it time for me to just shut up and just listen to him?
Girl,
yes, ma'am.
You better speak on it.
We have to know them. And so in order to us to fight the unseen things, we have to know what we're looking at. We have to know all the variables that will come against our marriage. Mm-hmm. Don't be stupid and just be ladder-gagging, we happy. But, there are things, people are going to come against you.
Right.
We fight, sometimes we fight not against flesh and blood, but we fight against the things of spirit as well.
Right.
You got depression, you got stress. Our men are outside working for our families. And we have to know how to cultivate a place where they can be vulnerable and be able to let go the things of the world when they come to the door. I wrote a poem called "Bring Me the World on Your Shoulders, Love." I want my husband when he walks through the door, just lay everything down and don't think about nothing, but me bringing him peace and tranquility, bringing him, whatever he needs, So, and that's the part that a lot of women don't want to do. They are so in tune of what this man is supposed to do for me. But I guarantee you that if you take care of him, he's going to reciprocate the same thing and give you everything that you need. And
more.
We haven't even walking down the aisle yet. And I guarantee you, if I call Lieutenant right now and say, I got this Amazon cart. But because I'm his soundboard now. he will call me on the phone and I just listen because he's talking about the mayor, he's talking about the city council, he's talking about the crazy people, he's talking about somebody that lost the gut, all kinds of stuff. And I know how to talk to him, and I know when to be quiet, and at the same time, I know how to speak life to him as well.
Right. And it's a duality.
Yeah.
Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah.
You were listening to what she was saying, and it sounds like what she was saying was resonating. What was resonating with you?
Oh my gosh, yes. Because you said I pay attention to Mr. Randolph. I pay it, and I would ask him something, and I'll say, what's wrong? He said, how do you know something's wrong? I said, I pay attention to you.
Exactly.
I say, I pay attention to you. And again, there's a quote here in Sun Tzu that says, victorious warriors win first and then go to war.
Right.
While defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. What that signifies to me, victorious warriors, they know their husband or their spouse first, and they win by doing that before they go to war. So when the war comes, they've already won, as opposed to someone who's defeated. He gets in the war and then tries to win because he didn't have the foresight.
Right.
Exactly.
To think about what could happen to prepare themselves accordingly. Also, I said my job is when Mr. Randolph gets ready, when he goes out on the road, when he leaves the house, that he can't wait back to get back home to me. That's my job.
Yes. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good. I know you're right because Luther Vandross said when we were teenagers and young folks that a house is not a home. That's what Luther said. And men need that a woman that can set the tone for the house. I always ask the question, women want men to protect them, Red Lipstick and TJ, but women don't understand that men need protection too. The gospel said that a quarrelsome and contentious woman will run the man to the rooftop. And I've always said that if she wants that man to protect her as it relates to physical protection, she got to protect his mind. How are you learning?
About to say that.
Okay, I got you. You call on the ancestors, man. You got the ancestors standing behind me. But Red Lipstick, what does that mean to you? How does a woman protect the mind of a man? And then also to TJ, go ahead.
Okay, so I can only go by what my mom taught me. And this goes back to what I said from the beginning, that being a wife is a ministry. My mom taught me that, you always supposed to pray over your husband. Pray over your household. Cover them in prayer, affirmation, kind words, encouraging words. We are supposed to be their inspiration, their muse. And we're supposed to carry ourselves that way.
Right.
And it goes back to knowing them as well. You have to understand that they have so much on their mind, and the stress of the world, stress of the job, stress of the household, whatever it is. And you can't be some nagging, cantankerous woman when they walk through the door, you coming at them with hellfire in the mouth. And just like TG said, they don't even want to come home to you anymore.
Right.
They'd rather sit in the garage and listen to music before they even walk in the door because they don't want to be around you.
Don't want to be around you, right.
So instead of protecting their mind and protecting their peace, you're creating more havoc. Mm-hmm. And that's not what you're supposed to be. So it goes back to the mouth of the women today, it's just like a poison to the men. You have to know how to speak life into your man.
Right, I agree. I totally agree with you 1,000%, sister. What does it look like, TJ, or Officer Randolph, to protect the ego of your husband? Because, you were commissioned to protect civilians, but many protect civilians, but they can't protect their man. How do you protect your man's ego?
Well, it's funny because as Miss T was talking, I was typing Teddy Pendergrass, my latest, my greatest inspiration. You understand me?
Right. Hold on, TJ, because James Turner. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. I got something for you. I got some fire for your mind. Hold on, TJ. Fire. Because TJ. Listen, TJ. Hold on, TJ. Because I've always said that every time I play this little clip, I get a copyright strike. But this goes out to the ladies. I'm Teddy's alter ego.
Inspire me. Inspire me. My greatest inspiration.
Yeah, TJ and red lips. They didn't know I had that swag. I got that velvet swag. Yeah, they didn't know. Listen, TJ, James Turner about to get mad, but they didn't know I had that velvet swag, TJ. I should have been a single back in the day, but I was so busy reading the Bible and praising the Lord. But I got that rich baritone, man. Y'all didn't know I had that. They didn't know I had that swag, TJ, and red lipstick. But I've always said that, men are looking for a woman to inspire him. He said, you're the Mona Lisa, more precious than gold. Men want a woman that can inspire him. And see, like TD Jake said, they got a need that they can pour into. And see, not TD, Lord have mercy, TJ and red lipstick, women don't get it. Your power is not your ability to fight him. Your power is your femininity.
Yes.
And when you allow that man to pour into you, and you're a feminine woman, men will go even harder. I told some of the guys, to the men that marry women in South America, they're so pretty and feminine. I say it's a place where your money go further, and so will your seed. Because the women are so feminine. If you didn't make a boy in America, you'll make a boy with them South American women because they're so feminine. They're extremely feminine. But talk about the inspiration of a feminine woman, TJ, because it's weird that we are on the same frequency tonight, you, me, and red lipstick. But why is a feminine woman so inspirational to a man as it relates to progress? Because men are dying early. And I got a clip I want to show you guys real quick. But go ahead, TJ.
Well, one of the things you said, how to my husband's ego, I'm always, and it's so funny, I think, I don't think he was used to that.
Right. Most men are not used to it. They're not used to it, right.
And he's been married before, as have I. But I'm always telling him, like, oh, there's that chest I like. I was
right.
always compliment and again, and again, thanking him for little things, you know what I'm saying? I'll wake up and he has already had breakfast made and, or he'll wash the dishes and I'm thanking. He said, you don't have to thank me. I'm like, yeah, I do. Just acknowledging him. Also, I pamper him, run him a bath, you know what I'm saying? Massage his feet, give him a pedicure, whatsoever.
Oh, wow, that's good. So, that's good, right?
That's and I sent him love letters. And
wow!
I sent him love songs, like like we just heard Teddy. I sent that to him, or I sent him Anita, because he's on that road, and it's so funny because we joke about it when he gets ready to go out on the road. He said, "Yeah, I gotta go get your money." But it it's kind of like what you said. It makes him go harder.
Makes him go harder, right?
Because I honor him and I respect him and I appreciate him.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I let him know every chance I get.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. What's your take on it, red lipstick?
I totally agree with her. One of the things that will always make me cry sometimes when I think about the time when
it's okay, go ahead.
The lieutenant, he would say to me, I inspire him to be greater than just a lieutenant.
Oh wow.
Wow. I'm always encouraging him and speaking to him as if he would always say, oh, I should have did this, I should have did this. And so I wrote him a poem and it's called Flawless. And I said to him in the poem, you are flawless to me. So no matter what the things that you think is, wrong with you, I don't see those. I see that you are flawless. You are a king. And you should act like it and walk like it. And so when I say things like that to him, it inspires him to be greater.
Right.
And, so I think a lot of times women, we don't know where our power is. A lot of these young ladies, they think their power is in they WAP. When they WAP, it's not even a WAP, it's a flop.
Right.
They have to understand that our power a lot of times is in our words, because just speaking certain words to them inspires them to be, greater, inspire them to do more for you, So I think, I totally agree with TJ. You have to
Oh
really,
my God.
stroking their ego is nothing wrong stroking
Man,
the ego.
it ain't nothing wrong with stroking that.
Can I throw this in for free?
Right.
Can I throw this in for free?
Yes, ma'am.
Listen
Go
up,
ahead.
ladies. For Mr. Randolph's birthday this past February, because you gotta keep them on their toes.
Okay, I know.
Your auntie hired a personal chef to come to the house and cook us a meal and serve it, because again, and he said, "What?" And I knew that it got the best of him because he covered his face.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
He covered. I'm getting emotional thinking about it.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Covered his face. And he said, "You're so good to me." And I said, "Because you're worth it. You're worth that."
Oh, TJ, you will make me cry. Oh, wow.
Say it again, TJ. He said what?
Oh, wow.
He said what, TJ?
Wow. Yeah.
You there? TJ back there crying. It's okay.
Yeah.
Take your time. Take your time. I know TJ be getting emotional. Y'all can't.
You're worth that.
Right.
I was telling him, he said that I'm so good to him, and I said, "You're worth that."
Yeah.
Right. That's good. That's powerful, man. I'm happy for you and him. I'm happy for you both, man. I'm definitely happy. Wow, that's powerful, man.
TJ, you got me up here crying.
Sorry, not sorry.
Shut up. Shout out to Top Gun. Top Gun said karaoke request, Barry White, I got so much to give. I'm going to get the music, man. Barry Hamlin said the Philadelphia International Music. Yeah, well, they're going to probably do a copyright strike. Not a strike, but they're going to probably do a dispute. But I'll just dispute it because it's part of original content. And Top Gun said that Will Graves, those singers were on mushrooms. But I'm going to show you guys something real quick because I know you guys got to go. I know, but I want to speed it up a little bit. How did your mother cultivate the art of teaching you how to be a disciplined woman, starting with red lipstick and then TJ? How did your mother cultivate that?
Ooh, well, I don't even know where to start. Well, I guess, how do I answer that question? I mean, it was just normal everyday life. I guess, being in the South, things are different there. And you're started as, at a young age. We're taught to serve. When we're younger, we serve our brothers, and we watch our, mom serve my father. You're in the kitchen, you're cooking and cleaning before you can start to go to school at 5, 6, 7 years old, you're learning to do all these things. And, with my mom, teaching me service. And because my parents were pastors as well as military, so I got to see from different sides on how to operate within a home. My mom showed me how to operate when they're in the church and she's serving other people, and then she showed me how you serve people within the household. And I saw the dynamics between my parents. They've been together since they were 13 years old.
Right.
And married when they were 18 and 19, and they've been together until my mom passed away last year. So I saw her take care of my father and us all that time. So I basically learned all of it by watching her life. And I think that's one of the problems we're having with these young ladies, these modern women, is because they don't have those type of examples like I had. Like I literally can say I watched the marriage vows played out in front of me.
Right.
From sick, health, rich, poor, and to death do you part.
Right.
I got to see all that. My mom took her last breath in my dad's arms. So that's how I got to know how to be a wife.
Yeah. And it's powerful. I was very impressed with your story. Shout out to Barry Hamilton. He said, Kosher, you're free to serenade despite certain opposition. Love songs are out of fashion these days. Great show and panel, no doubt. I appreciate it, Barry Hamilton. What's your take on that, TJ? And then I'm going to ask the question. I used Jada Pinkett as an icon. She didn't protect the ego of Will Smith. But what's your take on that, TJ, as it relates to the art of protecting your man's ego, or the art of being disciplined? What's your take on that?
Well, my story is different. My mom had me young, and I did not have the opportunity to see her in that role the way that, Miss T did. Even though my mom had that example in the sense that she saw the roles played between my grandparents, I did not have the chance to see that because she did not have good relationships. But she taught me how to do things like cook and clean. And again, because I had responsibility early, she taught me about working, because that's what I showed her. I mean, that's what she showed us, working hard.
Right.
But the everyday dynamic that, Ms. T is talking about, I did not see that. So I had some things that I didn't know that's what she was teaching me, in the sense of how to keep a home, because keeping a home is very important, but in the sense of how to interact in a male-female dynamic, husband-wife dynamic, I did not have that. So right. I think that combined with, liberal studies and, feminism, that kind of set me in the wrong direction. But the foundation was set, and I just needed to go back to it. So, I did see semblance of what it would look like, again, because I had a strong grandfather, and, he was the example of what I thought a man should be. And I have that. It took me a while to recognize it, but I'm glad that I was able to. As it relates to protecting my husband, like I said, anybody can get it. when it comes to Mr. Randolph. I mean, seriously. And it's funny because before I met him, I would do that where my daughter was concerned. I would, you don't want Nan. But when it comes to my husband, I keep all the foolishness away from him. Because again, when my husband goes out on that road with that tractor trailer, he's basically driving a weapon.
Yes, true. That's true.
His mind needs to be clear.
Yes, ma'am. Excellent. I like that. Yes, ma'am. I totally agree.
His mind needs to be clear. He needs to be well rested.
Yes, ma'am.
So, we, he laid the law down. He said, we can have, have as much company as you want, but Sundays belong to me. Yes, sir. That's it.
No, I totally agree. It's powerful what you're saying. Shout out to Top Gun. Top Gun said, congrats on your 5K achievement. He said that young lady from your clip bragging about her 2,000 body count is close on your heels. You may proceed, man. You funny. TJ, it might be safe to say that Jada Pinkett did protect Will Smith's ego, but not only did she not protect his ego, she did protect his finances. In the past, TJ and Red Lipstick, it was said that marriage causes men to live longer. But it's argued now that many men are dying because of marriage, because they're stressed out. I'm going to show you guys something real quick, and I'm going to streamline it because I know Red Lipstick got to go to church in the morning. And I'm going to show you guys something real quick. I know she got to go serve the Lord. Not the Lord, but the Lord. The Lord. Go serve the Lord. But let me show you something real quick if I can find it. Where's it? Share. And I'm going to let you guys see. Guys, tell me what y'all think about this clip. Hold on. Where's it at? Okay, stop sharing. Share screen. All right, give me 1 minute. All right, so fair use. I hope I don't get no strikes on this, but anyway, fair use. Hold tight.
Mission. I was 28 years old and I served.
Well, we've always great. Make women great again.
But they're going to do a 3-day seminar for women led by all men.
In mansplaining news, a 3-day conference for women led by men hopes to make women great again.
How the 22 convention will make you the greatest you ever. Raise your femininity by 500%.
First of all, how is a man supposed to tell a woman how to be the ultimate woman?
But women need to be taught how to be great again. Not my words.
We do. Like how to land a husband, how to lose weight, how to pop out a bunch of kids.
Why do men think they need to fix the problems of women?
Well, it says the world's ultimate event for women.
In Orlando, Florida, that's going to be the scene of the crime. It's mansplaining palooza, and say no to the toxic bullying feminist dogma.
Taught by men to make women great again.
Taking the stage now is the founder of the 22 convention. You're in for a treat, Mr. Anthony Dream Johnson.
Anthony Dream Johnson.
Anthony Dream Johnson.
The first president of the manosphere.
It's run by all men, which promises to, quote, make women great again.
This course is guaranteed to raise your femininity by 500%.
Together, we will make women great again. Excuse me, I'm mansplaining here. She said there's nothing wrong.
Welcome back to the 22 convention of 2021 in Orlando, Florida. This is a special rare event. This is what happens when you ladies get together.
So, TJ, real quick, some believe that women are killing their men. And I see you over there laughing, cheesing hard. Red lipstick vibe. What's your take on that intro, real quick?
I like it.
Okay, tell me what you agreed about, because
the part that was tripping me out is when the ladies was like, "How can the men tell us how to be women?" And what came to my mind was, I don't think they're trying to. I may be wrong, but what I was thinking is, it's not that they're trying to tell you how to be women, but they're trying to tell you how to be the women for them. It's a difference, because I think that's where we're kind of lacking. We're not understanding what men want from us to be the woman that they need. We're so tuned into what we think. So when I hear that's what popped in my mind. I could be wrong. It could be a whole other thing, but that's what popped into my mind. That's why I was laughing about it, because, in some cases, a lot of women need that class, but, anyway.
What did you hear, TJ, from that quick excerpt talking about not only is marriage killing men, but men are looking for women that can follow leadership and order. What did you hear in that short clip?
Well, I mean, I agree with what Ms. T said. I think is interesting because, like I said, even in marketing ourselves, we market the wrong thing. Even in marketing myself, when I was in the dating market, trying to, meet men before I met Mr. Randolph, I listed all the things that I thought were impressive to a man. And I think I shared with you that he didn't reach out to me, I reached out to him.
Right.
And he didn't reach out to me because after seeing the litany of things that I had done and all the things, the accomplishments, he didn't think I'd be interested in him. So we women, a lot of times, we're advertising or marketing the wrong thing. So again, it's important for us to find out what men would want.
Right.
Because we think that we know, because that's what we would want. That's what we would, want all this stuff.
Right.
But that's not important to them. So, I agree. And I think it's, I can identify with the women who are bothered because, a few years ago, I would have had the same righteous indignation, or self-righteous indignation, if you will. But it's misdirected. And I think if we take the time to really listen, whereas a lot of times we don't, because we're too busy talking.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree 1,000%. One of the things you said, something your husband said that resonated with me and that was very profound. He wasn't used to being treated good. And many men, TJ, and red lipstick or tie are in sexless marriages. Are modern marriages killing men because they're not getting their needs met based on sex, admiration, and respect in your mind, TJ, and then red lipstick? Can you guys hear me? Did you guys hear me?
Yes, I hear you. TJ might be out. I agree because you have to see. I hear a lot of the women use sex as a weapon. So if they're not getting what they want, they're not supplying the needs of their husband, and I think women can be vicious sometimes.
Right.
Especially when they're not getting what they want. And, they can be very calculated with it. I think a lot of times, the women do things for punishment, which I hate to say that, but that's what they call it, I'm going to punish him like he's a child. And not understanding that, like I said earlier, our words are very powerful.
Right.
And it does have an effect on you. You may say sticks and stone won't break my bones, and words never. No, a lot of times words do hurt.
They do hurt, right.
And we think it doesn't affect men, but it does. Men have this tough exterior, but a lot of times I've seen women really break men down just by how they treat them. Like, send them into, mental distress. Because they love their wives or significant other or whatever, and women tend to use that as a weapon.
Right.
So I can see a man becoming ill over a crazy woman, or leaving the marriage or cheating or whatever because of the cantankerous woman.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree, sis. I totally agree. We're going to sign off in a minute. I know you got to go to church. TJ lost connection, but I think this show was good. This was a good one, Red Lipstick Vibe. You got to invite me over, man, so I can drop some fire for your mind on your show.
Fire!
And thank you for sharing the clip when you did. I really appreciate it. But, what did you get from the show, real quick? And what are the solutions going forward, in your opinion?
Well, first, I thank you for inviting me. Thank you for letting me come up.
Oh, yeah, I really enjoyed you. You're a cool sister. Yeah, you're a cool sister.
Thank you. I think, women, we need to, I like the part where you were talking about the repentance for women to get back into the good graces of men.
Right.
And I truly believe it starts with accountability and acknowledging that there is a change that needs to be made. And I think that's the hardest part for women now, is taking accountability and responsibility for their actions.
Right.
They still have this hard exterior, this feminist mindset, like, oh, I'm right, you're wrong. And, it's no longer being equal to men. Now women want to dominate.
Right.
They no longer want any type of leadership. They think that they are the ones that's supposed to be in charge now.
Right. I agree.
As though, the men has failed them. So therefore, it's all about the woman now.
Right.
And I think in the long run, they're the ones that's going to be left out, when winter comes for them. And then that's when they're going to be crying about it. So I would say, to the young ladies that are listening now, don't follow that blueprint that you're seeing in front of you, because you're going to end up just like them, single.
Right.
If you want to be married, you need to look at someone that is married and not these single women trying to tell you, you can have hot girl summer and you can be, do this and do that and still get a husband years later down the line. No, that's not how it works.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, they're going to be singing that song, Law, not Lord, but Law, do it for me. Remember that song? Said, Law, do it for me. They're going to be singing it, but it's going to be too late.
But one more thing I have to say, ladies, you have to already be a wife. Mm-hmm. It's he that findeth a wife, not he that findeth a woman that will be a wife after he get married to her, then she learn how to be a wife. Mm-hmm. You have to be a wife already. So start the process now of learning how to be a wife. And the first thing is learn to shut up.
Learn to shut up. No, you're right.
Learn to shut
up. Listen, G.I. Joe used to say that knowing is half the battle. Didn't he say it?
Exactly.
he said knowing is half the battle. Now you gotta put it in action, man. But you're such a breath of fresh air, sis. So much respect for you and your future husband, the lieutenant. Much blessing to you. Like I said, I had an awesome conversation with you. You're so refreshing. You know, you're like a flower. You're like a flower in the midst of a concrete jungle. And let the church say amen.
Talk about my height, though.
I know you're a Cancer, man. She gonna hold grudges. She gonna be holding grudges on her wedding day. I can't stand that.
I'm gonna talk about it. You talk about my height. We'll talk about it for months on end.
All right. Yeah, I told your husband. Your husband to be. That's all I'm saying. Is he tall? He's about 6 feet, right? You say he's tall? He's tall. Okay. Yeah. Your pocket, put you in my pocket, man. I call you a tube of lipstick. But anyway, so we're gonna sign off. I know you got to go to church in the morning. Thank you for coming in. It was a great show, and we'll do it again, Red Lipstick. I really appreciate you and your energy. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, take care, sweetie. Be good. Bye. All right, bye. All right, guys. I told you there's 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become optimized, and this was a good show. There's a such thing called the art of war, but also there's an art as relates to being a disciplined woman as relates to giving a man power, love, security, and peace of mind. This has been another good show, guys. I love you guys. Good weekend, guys. Forgive me for all the sniffing. I got hay fever. And guys, we're about to sign off. I might do a show on tomorrow that you guys might like, but it's to be determined. So anyway, guys, get the likes up, share the content. Thank you for all you brothers. James Turner for his love and kindness. Andrew Baker, Top Gun, MC Recovery, International Mango Lover, and many, many more. I'm forever grateful, guys. You guys always hold me down, and I appreciate it, guys. And I'll be seeing you guys maybe on tomorrow next week. But in the meantime, guys, get you some rest. I'm going to check out my Panthers tomorrow where they play the Giants, man. So you guys be well. Much love and blessings. Be well.
Hit that like button. Go ahead. Do it now before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Destroy. All right.
I got an itch in my palm. My girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand. I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light. Know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave. Girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas. No, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds. Now it's top floor. All these big yes on her wrist. VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let us spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit on a cake. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good full plates, eating good say grace. Eat her up, get thanks, she got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, came from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let us spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let us spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. Spend it on a challenge cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. Tell